Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stunning, beautiful island of La Palma in the heart of the Atlantic. The 15th anniversary of Transvulcania Adidas TERREX is here. My name is Mauri Pagliacci, and we're gonna be here together with René Borg, straight out from Ireland, being here, bringing you all the action about the vertical uphill today, this Thursday evening, on straight out from La Palma, this vertical uphill race. René, welcome.
Well, thank you, Maury, and hello to everybody who's listening in from around the globe. You know, I think what we're about to witness here is, I think, what many consider one of the purest expressions of mountain running. You know, just a vertical kilometer, no flats, no forgiveness, you know, just a relentless grind from the beautiful sea here we can see and up to the sky.
Exactly. This is one of the, I gotta say, this is one of the most beautiful and uncomplicated to get somewhere else scenarios for this sort of races, for the vertical uphill style of races. You start from zero, René. This is zero. There's sea level, and then you climb that wall above the Puerto de Tazacorte, straight out at 5 p.m. In 7 minutes, the first runners are going to be starting. This is a time trial race. This is people starting one by one each minute, straight up to the Torre Forestal del Time at 1,600 meters above sea level, in a total of 7 kilometers. So it's incredible. This canyon that they go up, it's brutal. And as you said, René, this is one of the purest expressions of it. But I gotta say, this longer sort of vertical race, it has, at the middle of it, it has, after this big wall they climb in the beginning, it has this little sort of asphalt section that it's really tricky for your legs,
escasos 5 minutos y poco más para que esto arranque. Estamos en el puerto de Tazacorte y, como decía, en 5 minutos va a arrancar el kilómetro vertical con unas imágenes más que espectaculares, ya con mucho ambiente aquí en el puerto, como podéis ver, todo el montaje preparado aquí para presenciar uno de los mayores espectáculos mundiales. Claro que sí, es el kilómetro vertical del Villa y Puerto de Tazacorte con este Transvulcania Adidas TERREX Vertical Uphill. De momento,
well, I think we're going to have a very exciting race. There's a really good selection of competitors coming in, you know, and I'm especially, we're going to go through some of them. And we have a bit of time, you know, we're with you nearly for 3 hours today. And as you said there, we have about 176, I think, starters lined up that will go off every 30 seconds, starting shortly, with, on paper, the favorites going last. Now, there will be some upsets to that structure because it's not an accurate science to determine exactly what runner should go here, and obviously form on the day will play a huge role as well. So despite that, there are a few names that I definitely expect will put in some of the best times, you know, regardless of form of the day. And one, of course, is Morten Matisse, and I think most of the people listening here don't really need much of an introduction, but we can talk a bit about her and her exploits later. On the men's side, we've got Luca Del Piero from Italy. I'm expecting a pretty good race from him. And also USA's David Sinclair. We have as well Japan's Yuri Yoshizumi. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
And a whole host of others. We hope we'll give you a whole character gallery as we get a little bit deeper into it. But yeah, I look forward to seeing especially how they handle, as you say, this first section up to the midpoint in terms of vertical at 510 meters, the steep part where the racers are climbing nearly 66 meters per kilometer. And then after that road section, it's a little bit more forgiving, and you're only climbing about 33 meters per kilometer vertical. So that transition, as you say, I think it is painful whenever there is a big shift in gradient. So I look forward to seeing we'll have a really good idea where the race is going once we see those mid-time sprints.
Yeah, and it's also tricky because it's being a vertical race, running by yourselves, and especially you mentioned Luca Del Piero, the Scarpa runner from Italy that starts last. And what's tricky is that you are constantly chasing the person in front of you. There is someone that has just started a minute or 30 seconds in front of you. So that sensation of being chasing constantly, of course, Luca, Mod, and all the super pros, they have experience about this and probably know how they pace their races. But I always find it interesting for the popular runner how they strategically they chase these sort of races. So I'm really intrigued to see what we're gonna witness today here, and it's kind of a humid day. It's always humid here in La Palma, a bit more, a bit less, but it's usually always super humid. But today I think the weather is gonna be nice with the runners. Even though it's humid, there's a bit of wind and it's not extremely hot. So I believe we're gonna have a beautiful race to watch today.
Yeah, you can see the mild breeze kind of, fluttering in the banners fluttering in the mild breeze there. And now we are just, for the people who are watching in, we can see some of the first competitors are starting their warm up. We have a runner there doing his dynamic lunges. So I'd say this is, as you say, it is a very unique thing, and it must be nearly a bit nerve-wracking to be the first person to start out here.
Yeah, you
before everyone else, and the whole field chasing you down as you make your way up.
Yeah, and it's now we have some ambience audio coming in, but it's always interesting to see the different pace once the faster runners start going up the hill, and there's still some of the popular runners being caught on that big wall, and it's kind of interesting to see how the same sport is played completely different by two persons. Hopefully we're going to be watching a bit of that today, and yeah, just if you're around there, let us know if you can listen to us well. If you I see there's a bunch of people. And outfits, Rene, we have outfits already.
Yeah, I've never quite dared run in a pair of shorts like that, but fair play to him.
Yeah, I think he ran last year. He always runs with his speedos, and he goes fast. He goes fast up the hill. So we're gonna, I don't know. What's your preference for a race like this? Would you go with one of those speedos?
Not unless I was planning of going straight back down in the water afterwards.
Fantastic.
But I'm trying to look at his number here. I can't quite see it, but the first three competitors we have starting out is Lina Christine Schink, and I think she was just sent off here. So she is from Germany and representing the club Temple Sport Pergen. We've got Lina Christine off here.
Yeah, Lina is off, and officially the vertical uphill for the 2025 Transvulcania Adidas TERREX in its 15th anniversary. It's on. The party is on, Rene. Now it's all uphill from now on until Saturday night, till the finish line in Los Llanos de Aridane is closed. This festival is open already 20 seconds in, with Lina Christine Schink, as you said, and Stefan Wolf also from Germany already tackling these first meters from el Puerto de Tazacorte up to La Torreta del Time.
And this is Florian Wheel from what I can see. So that's it's a German trio to start the race out with.
Yeah, absolutely. Florian definitely ran last year. I can 100% remember his that outfit. we had a bit of a chat about that with Owen last year. But yeah, I love it. I love it when they come with this energy, when they get here to enjoy the whole festival. Actually, it's we're gonna have enough time to talk about how the whole festival impacts the island, and how the race for this past 15 years has switched the touristic panorama of La Palma in general. But we have already Maciej Wak from Poland. Can you say that better than me?
Maciej, I think, but it's been a while. I used to work with a lot of people from Poland, but I wouldn't be an expert in that accord, unfortunately. And here we've got David Viloria shout out, I think, from Spain. You probably actually will be able to do that better.
Yeah, it's David Viloria Ocharán de España. Yeah, from Spain. He's the first local runner starting the race. The local from Spain, of course. Let's see when the first Palmero goes out. But yeah, it's on. It's 100% on. Now it's going to be for the next hour and a half. We're going to be seeing runners start. This first bit of people are starting every 30 seconds. And then from, let's see, from runner number 26, who's going to be Ainhoa Lendines on, it's going to be over a minute. They're going to be starting a minute of each other. But you can see, look at Lina Christine there suffering this first couple of meters. It's brutal. And then you cannot see it from the camera here. It's not really making it justice, but it's also a bunch of it's not a trail, it's a bunch of rocks. You have to run, it's a really technical uphill, but what we're not saying also that this is the final part of the longest downhill I've ever seen in my life in a race, for both the ultra on Saturday and the marathon. These guys are doing it now on the uphill side, doing it backwards, and it's a bit more friendly, but then for the downhill you better take care of those ankles on that downhill. But we're gonna save those surprises for Saturday, of course. Yeah, do you have any sort of experience in vertical races, René?
It's quite limited in my hemisphere, but I've done a few uphill races, but there's actually, the highest mountain on our part of the world is about 1,000 meters high. So it's fairly rare to get it, but from the few uphill races I've done, you could say I have experience. I know how tough it is, and especially, I would be one of the mountain runners who prefers the downhill. So when I see the runners here suffering up those switchbacks, I really feel it, because for me the uphill is just a way to get to the reward, which is the downhill.
The downhill, of course.
And today you don't get that. It's just one long grind all the way to the top. And it's something I think for the Northern Hemisphere listeners that we have, it's become a bit of a tradition across Europe to have these sorts of vertical races as a bit of a warm-up for longer ultra races. And it has started to take root in places like Ireland as well. So more places you will see, if there's the big ultra race on the Friday or the Saturday, there will be some kind of vertical race, sometimes as short as 2 or 3 kilometers on the Friday.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna stay with what you said of preferring the downhills. I'm also a really bad uphill runner. I've suffered this race a lot in 2015 and 16 when I ran it. But yeah, then on the downhill side, I think you would love this either the marathon or the ultra. You would definitely love it. But again, we're gonna save all the data for Saturday. But let me say, it's probably one of the toughest things there is out there. They're coming down from 2,500 meters above sea level to 0 in 16K. So you being a downhill runner, you would definitely love it.
Yeah, I might, although with ultras, of course, I mean, we will talk more about that on Saturday, but in ultras, sometimes you end up at the last descent and your legs have nothing left to give. And then even though you're a pretty talented descender in normal circumstances, you just cannot fully express yourself down such a long and hard descent as this will be.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also, we will see it today. You can have a glimpse of what's going to be on Saturday on the downhill side, but you can see it today. This is a super brutal set of switchbacks coming and going uphill. And then when it switches to this sort of transition, as you mentioned early, it kind of tricks you, because you can switch a bit your technique to give a little rest on those muscles you're punishing. But then again, once you get to the trail, you get back to a trail, and it gets technical again, and you gotta be really, really careful. I would dare to say you gotta be careful also on the vertical, because your legs are a bit numb. Sorry, or going up. I mean, your legs are a bit numb, and you don't want to trip on this sort of races. But yeah, it's poles, of course. It's it's a great day for poles.
It is a great day for poles, especially for those who are used to, training with them, racing with them. But I think anyone who has raced with them, they do make a big difference, especially once you've maxed out your legs.
Yeah, and this the terrain here, I say it's technical, but it allows you to use poles and to rely on them for almost the whole length of this 7K that we have today, except for a little part that you go close to the canyon. But then the rest you can really rely on poles. I have seen the master of poles here on this uphill, which is the man himself, Luis Alberto Hernando, the owner of the course record on the ultra here. Probably one of the best pole users in the trail running history. But yeah, it's really good for on this sort of races. We are seeing right now runner number 165. That's Victor Santillana Aravana from the club Triathlon Ferrol. I'm gonna be saying some names every now and then, so we are kind of paying attention to when the elites are coming. But you can see it's a great party out there at El Puerto de Tazacorte. René, do you want to explain our viewers how once again the length of this vertical uphill race and how it kind of unfolds for today?
Yeah, it's good to just kind of wrap your head around exactly what's involved, So the total distance for the race is 7.26 kilometers, which is very precisely measured.
Yeah.
With an elevation gain of just over 1,200 meters. The finish line is, what might really interest people is what is the range of finishing times that you will have here, because the winners can do it in well below an hour, but there will be a lot of, and I don't mean this in any negative way, a lot of regular competitors here who will take nearly 2 hours to complete it, so that gives you a bit of a sense for what's involved, because 7.2 kilometers doesn't sound like an awful lot on paper, but you only need to look at what we're seeing there, these endless switchbacks or endless zigzags, especially the heavy gradient that we have until the 510 meter point, to understand why, your kilometers could be well above 10 minutes, and in some cases 12 or 14 minute kilometers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, last year the Japanese runner from Adidas TERREX, Ryonosuke Omi, had a fantastic race. We saw him crush it here, straight out from the gun. He just went. Do you know when you're watching someone running, you're definitely faster than the rest? Even his fellow fast competitors weren't running as smoothly and as fast as he was doing. He finished this in 50 minutes, 50 minutes and 43 seconds for him. And he had a gap of almost a minute with Ricardo Cherta, who was second, who took 51:38. And then Abel Carretero, who ended up in third, took 52 minutes and 39 seconds, which is, it kind of gives a feeling on how tough this race is. If these guys that are incredibly fast are taking 50 minutes, yeah, the average runner, as you say, they're taking almost 2 hours. I would say an hour 40, more or less, is the hour 30 to hour 40 is where the biggest amount of people is arriving. But then our final runner, our last runner, was Tito Quintana last year, and he took 3 hours and 11 minutes. So yeah, he really took advantage of this beautiful evening in La Palma last year and had a fantastic uphill. As you can see, the switchbacks there. Once you get up there, there's a beautiful sightseeing of the Atlantic Ocean, and the whole Puerto de Tazacorte is just mind-blowing. And as you can see, look at that! Wow, our first beautiful image of the weekend, I would dare to say. But you can see there, René, they get to that trail after these switchbacks, and you can definitely see it's a bit technical.
Yeah, and we're very interested in that high point, because once we get that first split, we can really start to pass on to people, what sort of times we're looking at, and especially once the faster runners come out, we will start to get an idea of who are probably the potential winners. But I just wanted to go back to what you mentioned there with the course record, because when I did a bit of digging, it seems like Steen Angermund ran this race in 47 minutes, 22 seconds all the way back in 2017.
Yeah.
But I'm not entirely sure it was exactly the same course. Mari?
Wow, yeah, it's I was trying to think. Sorry, I had a bit of a mental. I was trying to get back because I was there when Stian ran those 47 minutes, and I think the course was a bit shorter. I don't wanna lie. There was a sort of change at some point. But yeah, anyway, running this in 47 minutes, it's just unbelievable. Stian going up, it's one of the historical most talented runners in the whole trail running history. But yeah, you can already see some of the faster runners there trying to push. This is what we were talking before about being trying to be strategically smart and not die there.
Algo de viento, buscando la sombra, ya os lo digo, y los corredores que están calentando, y no con mucha intensidad, sinceramente. Yo creo que el sol ya hace su propio efecto. Estamos ya con el presidente del Cabildo, Sergio Rodríguez. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Muy buenas tardes.
Muy buenas tardes.
Bueno, ¿cómo te encuentras? Te veo contento, te veo feliz.
Muy contento porque, bueno, la respuesta a lo que buscábamos, que era esa conexión de Transvulcania con la gente de La Palma, se está volviendo a dar. La gente, bueno, la expectativa que teníamos yo creo que se está cumpliendo y bueno, el hecho de volver aquí a Tazacorte, no solamente para esta vertical, sino también en la llegada de la maratón el sábado, pues bueno, estamos orgullosos de que ese primer objetivo que nos planteamos, de recuperarla para la gente, se esté dando.
Bueno, te veía saludando aquí a, supongo que amigos, conocidos que están ya corriendo este kilómetro vertical, que es espectacular, unas imágenes que la verdad dan la vuelta al mundo seguro.
Sí, estuvimos preocupados, estaba mirando precisamente las contenciones estas que están en la subida del Risco, porque nos tuvieron preocupados una de ellas estos días atrás, una roca que había caído, pero se ha corrido. Yo quiero dar las gracias a la Unidad de Medio Ambiente por el trabajo, a todas las personas que han estado aquí empujando para que esto saliera y bueno, pues ahora espectacular como siempre, ¿no? Con mucho calor, a pesar de que el fin de semana amenaza lluvias, hoy tocó mucho calor, ¿no?
Oye, permíteme, el ambiente evidentemente es palpable, hemos multiplicado un poquito la asistencia a la isla, es decir, esos 3.000 largos participantes con los acompañantes, probablemente más de 10.000 personas, es pronto para hacer un balance, pero el color, y yo creo que muy satisfecho, ¿no?, de que la gente pueda venir aquí y vosotros demostrar vuestra isla bonita.
Sí, bueno, está claro que también esta prueba es un instrumento muy potente para, no solamente para vender la isla, sino para generar actividad económica, arrastra a muchísima gente y es precisamente porque cuando oyes a los corredores hablar de la prueba, la entienden como una prueba distinta a las demás, muy atractiva, precisamente por esa cercanía de los palmeros con la misma, ¿no?
Y la última pregunta, te dejo ya marchar. Me imagino que van a estar en distintos puntos este fin de semana. Una vez salgas de aquí del directo, ¿hacia dónde te vas?
Bueno, no voy a hacer ninguna carrera, pero voy a hacer mi propia Transvulcania. Hoy mismo estaré aquí un rato, me iré luego de un ratito arriba a la torreta. Estaré en el Refugio del Pilar mañana y el sábado en la salida de Fuencaliente nos iremos probablemente a las deseadas. Estaremos también en el refugio aquí en Tazacorte y en Los Llanos.
Sergio, muchísimas gracias y a disfrutar.
Nada, a disfrutar ustedes también.
Y continuamos esperando también a todos los corredores que van pasando ya a través de este arco. El primero, en este caso la salida, esperando también a los corredores élite y los que dan también mucho nombre y mucho bombo a este kilómetro vertical desde aquí, desde Tazacorte.
So that was Jaime, our partner down there at Puerto de Tazacorte, with Sergio Rodriguez, the president of El Cabildo de La Palma from the local government. He says he's happy with the feedback of the locals, happy with the feedback that the people of La Palma is giving to the race. Once again, getting the support from the island is really rewarding for this massive event that is bringing over 3,000 runners with their families, with their friends. On that, it's a total of around 10,000 tourists getting to the island just for the race. It's a massive impact for the local economy, of course, and bringing this new sort, like continuing this set of new tourism coming to the island after this 15 years of the race. He said he was asked if he was going to be running something, and he said he was going to be doing his own race, trying to support as much as he can, trying to go to different aid stations and check on how everything is going, trying to give support to the event, of course. But René, I'm gonna keep, of course, outside of the pride he's bringing on this massive race that the island is putting on. I'm gonna stay a bit with the 10,000 people arriving to the island. It's insane. The amount of support that the trail running community is bringing to these local economies with a different sort of tourism. It's not just the classic getting to the beach thing. It's coming here, running, doing a different set of adventures in the island, and the island has everything to give. It's actually beautiful to see that our sport brings that to different economies, right?
Yeah, and it's something we are seeing more and more around Europe. But maybe before I go more into that, you know, we just saw Diego Rodriguez go off, and I think this was Jonathan Perez. So we're kind of, I think, about 20-25 runners are more or less on the course now, and we also got some good mountain bike footage that I thought really showed us just how steep that tarmac section we were talking about earlier really is. But the runner we were following, and I couldn't see his name because we could only see him from the back. He was actually in a very good rhythm.
Yeah, he was pacing himself there. He definitely switched from the steep uphill to this more sort of runnable tarmac section. But as you said, it's tricky. It's super tricky because then after that, that's you are running in the middle of the banana plantations, and then you just turn right and get back to the trails. There you can see those on the right and the left are the famous banana plantations that the island has, one of the main engines of the economy here on every Canary island, but especially here in La Palma. And once you get out of that tarmac, it's just a small section. Don't be fooled about that. It's just a really transition section of asphalt from the trail, the trail at the beginning to the following trail. And yeah, it's really steep, and it's I could see also. What I'm also always worried about on this race is the humidity. People get really dehydrated here. It's not because it's insanely hot. It's because it's of course you're just aside of the sea and it's incredibly humid. But you could see those guys sweating really bad. But yeah, I'm really happy of the images we're getting. This looks like we're gonna have a beautiful party, and hopefully you're enjoying it from wherever you are watching us. Let us know if you're in the chat there. Welcome everyone. I gotta say, René, my friends, my wife and my friends are already on the chat commenting in sort of in Spanish and sort of in English. Tami, Rodrigo, and Ruben are my friends that are trying to understand and practicing their English. So let me just say hi to them, and yeah, let us know if you're watching us, listening to us, and tell us, are you cheering for someone? Are you waiting for a familiar, a loved one? Who are you trying to watch in this vertical uphill? The first race, the first celebration of this 15th anniversary here at La Palma. Bring your friends.
We're getting,
to the chat.
We're getting a few of the. I can actually see. I think we have an interview coming up, if I'm reading it right. There's going to be an interview with some of the recreational runners coming in shortly.
Okay. Let's see.
But while we wait for that, you can see a lot of those traditional images from, I think, what people consider, you know, a traditional holidays in the Canaries, you know, with hotels and swimming pools and beaches. But at the same time, we get some great footage as well from the trails. And I think this is something that the Canary Islands have probably pioneered as a region, and that is being taken up across Europe now. You know, people have seen the value that a trail race can provide, you know, in showing off all the natural beauty of an area. You know, even up here in Ireland now,
tenemos aquí, bueno, a toda la gente que está preparada, corredores y corredoras que buscan ya, como decía antes, la sombra, hace mucho calor. Tenemos aquí a Jennifer desde El Paso. ¿Qué tal, Jennifer?
Hola, buenas tardes, todo muy bien.
Bueno, corredora local, corredora del Paso. Si no me equivoco, es tu primera vez en este kilómetro vertical de Tazacorte.
Sí, así es, mi primer año.
¿Te da un poquito de cosa o qué?
Pues la verdad que no, con ganas, tenía muchísimas ganas de participar y por fin este año tocó.
Te costó decidirte, ¿eh? 6 años corriendo y al final...
Sí, por diversas circunstancias no se ha podido.
Oye, siendo de aquí de casa, impresionante, ¿no?
Sí, la verdad que sí, es un carrerón y había que estar algún día y es hoy.
Jennifer, ¿a qué hora sales?
Pues salgo a las 5:58.
Bueno, te queda un ratín, pero bueno, mucha suerte.
Muchísimas gracias.
Bueno, pues gente, como podéis ver, corredores locales. También tenemos rápidamente a un argentino, a Sebastián, que está aquí. Sebastián, ¿qué tal? Buenas tardes.
¿Cómo estás? Muy contento. Muy
bueno, expresamente vienes para correr, argentino aunque afincado en Cataluña, ¿no?
Soy argentino, vivo en Barcelona y bueno, conociendo primera vez acá en la isla, hermoso, mejor día imposible, sol, así que a disfrutar, sí, sí.
Sebastián, ¿cuántos días os vais a quedar aquí en la isla?
Vinimos ahora 3 días, ya estuvimos 2 disfrutando, así que nada, eso, súper contento, con muchas ganas de correr y eso, acompañado a mi novia, amigos, más no puedo pedir.
Sebastián, 3 días son muy pocos, lo siento, pero tienes que volver.
Ya me estuvieron diciendo, vamos a volver, así que sí, nos dimos cuenta que hay un montón de cosas para ver acá, súper linda la isla, así que volveremos.
Disfruta y de vez en cuando gírate, porque es espectacular.
Bueno, seguramente.
Bueno, pues sensaciones también que vivimos aquí en esta prácticamente salida con Sebastián, con Jennifer, también corredores populares que están preparados para darlo absolutamente todo.
That was Jaime again from El Puerto de Tazacorte, right aside of the start line of this vertical uphill race in the 2025 Transvulcania. René, that was first. It was Jennifer from El Paso, a local runner running her first for the first time here at this vertical race. She said she was really scared about it. She was really scared about this challenge, but Transvulcania is a massive race. It's a beautiful race and a really important date for the island, and she was really stoked to be being a part of it. And then let me say, Sebastián, let me just say his second, Sebastián Abramovich. He's a co-Terranian from myself. He was Argentinian, but living in Catalonia. He says he came here to, of course, to run, but also to get to know the island. Enjoying, trying to visit as much as he can. He's going to be here for 3 days with his girlfriend that is also running. So he said that 3 days is too short and that he's going to be coming back, and this allows me to bring you back to what you were talking about, the Irish Tourist Board and how trail running is impacting, as you can see now with this example of Sebastián coming not straight from Argentina, but knowing and spreading the word, of course, about trail racing here in La Palma.
And if you are joining late, we can just kind of try and set the scene again for what the runners that you see now on the footage are actually up to. So they're kind of coming into the first 1.5 to 2 kilometers, meaning they're coming near a part of this vertical kilometer called the Barranco de las Angustias, I think, but it means the Gorge of Sorrows, if I'm not mistaken, which is a very fitting name probably, as you're feeling a bit sorry for yourself climbing that. And it's where the water runs up for the main geographical feature of La Palma, which is the huge kind of bowl in the center of the island called the Caldera de Taburiente. So it flows down through this gorge into the sea and down to the start line that we see here at Tazacorte, and which is allegedly, Mauri, and you might know better than me, the lowest point of any vertical kilometer in Spain.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea. Well, it's not that I have no idea. I haven't heard anything about another vertical race starting straight from zero. And if there is one, it should be also here in the island. So no, there's not. This is the lowest point for a start of a vertical race. And let me add to that, I have, it's the first time I hear it translated to English. The Barranco de las Angustias. It's how did you say it? The
Gorge of Sorrows.
The Gorge of Sorrows. Amazing. It sounds really dramatic in English. I never actually translated that. And I also got to say that the Gorge of Sorrows is one of the ugliest, nastiest parts of the race, because this is going to be, for the ultra, it's going to be around 68 Ks, and you got to run through it to get to Los Llanos de Aridane and to the finish line. And for a runner like me that is not exquisitely fast, it usually happens after noon, and it's really, really, really hot down there, and you gotta get out of there as soon as possible. So what it has of beautiful and how amazing it can look from the drone image, it can also be painful when you're running through it. Really, really, really extremely painful, let me say. But it's just amazing. You gotta come see it for yourself. My words are not making justice. So you're gonna, if you're listening to us from wherever you're listening to us, you're gonna have to come and experience it to yourself. But yeah, Gorge of Sorrows is just amazing. It's an amazing name, right?
Yeah, maybe you could translate it as the Gorge of Anguish as well, because the Spanish word angustias seems to be very, very, very similar. But if you need a more positive selling point, as you say, it's very, very hot, which is because Puerto de Tazacorte, so this village where the race is starting, where you can see the black volcanic sand, it's the sunniest spot in Europe. They get more than 3,500 annual hours of sunshine.
Oh, beautiful. When you hear that, being Irish, are you a bit jealous of these people, or you're okay with it?
It's a little bit of both. I'm jealous because we've had a very tough, wet winter.
Wow.
But at the same time, I speak a lot to my good friend Owen, who was commentating here last year, who lives on Gran Canaria, and I have visited on multiple occasions, and it does make your training a lot more difficult, especially if you come from Northern Europe. So there's less hours where you can train comfortably.
Yeah, that's right. That's one of the biggest disadvantages. But yeah, it's just amazing. Sorry, I kind of stayed speechless with that drone image. It was beautiful. That trail there is just plainly beautiful. If you runners now are going backwards on what it's going to be for Saturday, but if you turn around there, you have this sort of same image we are watching right now from the drone. You can also soak it in from when you're running there. If you turn right there, you're gonna see the beautiful Barranco de las Angustias and the Atlantic Ocean and everything. It's just incredibly amazing. We're watching right now one of the runners. This guy has just left the tarmac section we were talking about, and he's back on the trails. trying to get to that 1,200 meters above sea level point, that finish line at La Torreta del Time. But yeah, it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful day for running, even though it's a bit hot down there. It's still amazing. It's already 5:30 p.m. Our first half hour, Rene, of broadcast. That it has brought us a lot of beautiful images. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm really excited of being back here and really hoping to see a great race during the whole weekend. 15 years for Transvulcania, Adidas, TERREX. Let us know if you ever come. Have you ever been here? Have you ever ran around the island? I see Amy OK1 said hello there, and ANX said they're watching us from Poland also. So I believe people from all around the world, especially on Saturday, are going to be watching us, because we have a bunch of runners from all the different corners of the world. As we see now, some power hiking. Power hiking is essential for this vertical uphill. What's your thoughts on?
Pues así, tenemos un grupo de 10 personas, vienen de Santiago de Compostela, vienen a animar. Ahora mismo tienen por aquí un corredor que va a salir en nada, en 13 minutos. Pero bueno, estamos con Noemi y el grupo pertenece a un nombre importante, ¿verdad? ¿Cómo se llama este nombre, este grupo?
Arca de Noé.
Arca de Noé, ella se llama Noemi. No sé si tiene que ver algo.
Bueno, un poquito ahí. La camiseta algo tiene que ver ahí. Esta se supone que soy yo y los de abajo los compis.
Oye, ¿por qué eres tú? Digo yo.
Porque soy la entrenadora.
Pues ahí está, entrenadora. Ahora mismo tenéis en carrera también algún compañero, ¿verdad?
Sí, a Víctor. Ya salió hace creo que 10 minutillos o 15. Anda.
Bueno, y le falta la salida a Luis Alberto, que no es Luis Alberto Hernando, es Luis Alberto de Santiago.
Y a Sara, que anda por ahí.
Bueno, pues un poco palpar el ambiente también de toda la gente que viene también de la península, como en este caso este grupo de Santiago de Compostela. Muchísimas gracias y muchísima suerte, chicos.
Nada, vosotros, gracias.
Bueno, pues seguimos con esta animación, con este calor en, ya sabéis, Tazacorte. Espectacular las imágenes que estamos pudiendo disfrutar y sobre todo mucho ambiente aquí ya en el puerto.
That was Jaime again. Thank you, Jaime, with Noé from the Arca de Noé group from Santiago de Compostela, Galicia, Spain. They were coming to cheer and race. They came in a group of around 10 people to witness this 15th anniversary of Transvulcania. And yeah, people from all around Spain, of course, from all around Europe. We've already seen some South Americans. Some of my fellow Argentinians are here. There is a bunch of Argentinians racing, especially I have a good friend, Rene, racing today. He's going to be starting on the last. He's taking bib number 13, Ezequiel Paulusac. El Tati, he's a good friend of mine. He has a massive running group in Buenos Aires, in the capital city of our country, with around 800 people. That he's not himself the only coach. He has a really big group of coaches and professionals working all around, and he's sort of the captain of the Adidas TERREX team in Argentina, one of the elder runners. Luckily he doesn't understand English, because if he would hear me say he's one of the elder runners in the Argentinian trail community, he would probably punch me or something. But yeah.
It's important to have respect for your elders.
Yeah.
And we just as we are watching the race here unfold as well, I should remind people that you can go to UltraTrail to follow the rankings. There's already a fair bit of information there. There's a new beta version 3 as well, which has a lot of really cool features. So at the moment, we can see that Diego Tiep is in the lead, but he is being caught pretty quickly by, actually, he's just been overtaken in the meantime, just as I talk, by Ivan Hierro, who is expected to hit the finish in roughly 32 minutes. But at the pace that the third pace runner, which is David Ocharan, and again, I do apologize if I mispronounced that, he's expected in only 26 minutes. That means it does look like our first finisher We'll be sometime around 10-12 minutes past 6.
Amazing. Yeah, I haven't. You know, you mentioned it, and I clicked on the B3 of LiveTrail. Wow, this is amazing. This is a great sort of change of looks after the pioneering elder version of LiveTrail. It's amazing. Go check it out if you're following someone. But yeah, we're gonna have. So David says in 26, as you mentioned. Diego says in 29, and Ivan says in 31. Yeah, looks like David is running exquisitely faster than than the rest of the runners, and that should be around more or less. Yeah, they're gonna be finishing a little bit over 50 minutes, right? And between 50-ish minutes to an hour, which is considering the times of last year. And hopefully with LiveTrail being as accurate as it usually is, I think we're gonna be seeing some fast times today, especially with Luca Del Piero starting. And I gotta say, you mentioned earlier today that David Sinclair was racing, and he's definitely out for today's race. I think he's gonna be saving legs to try to crush the ultra on Saturday. Let me say there's a sort of a dark horse there, who is bib number 11, Diego Diaz Ortega. He's part of the Spain national team for vertical and short races. So I would put some money on him for today, especially on this race, that it's not a pure, short distance, super elevated vertical. In this sort of more runnable terrain, he can do a way better performance than in a pure BK. So let me just say, Diego may do at least some noise, bring some noise to Luca's race today.
Yeah, and we have a few, just as we leave the viewers to take in, this beautiful ridge here and all the, the only shadow you get mercifully when you race on the Canary Islands is these pine cone forests, and they do take up quite a lot of the trails, so there's good opportunity to run a bit in the shadow. But I did have a few, there's the obvious favorites we've talked about, like Luca Del Piero, and you say David Sinclair unfortunately is out. We'll talk a bit about the women's race as well, as more of them get onto the course. But we had Yuri Yoshizumi, which obviously is, he won Transvulcania Vertical K all the way back in 2017.
Yeah.
So he's very experienced. So, you would expect him to have a decent run. We have a few kind of younger outsiders as well. We have like Pierre Amadeo from Team Provence Endurance. He's a young VK/Sky runner. He has a lot of podium finishes at regional vertical Ks. So, you wouldn't have him as a favorite. But, if you were a betting man and wanted good odds, he'd certainly be up there. And we have Boris Olhak, also from France, who runs for Team Scott. Again, he's someone who's really known for his vertical K prowess. So I'd say he'd be a top 5 challenger.
Amazing. Yeah, I will also add Areski Habibi, who is if he's from the Canary Islands, if I'm not wrong, he's from Tenerife. He was out there on the fight last year on the BK. Let me just check. He was 10th last year on the BK, just 6 minutes out of Ryonosuke Omi. So with a year more of experience, he's a really young runner too. I think this is this distance, this category of trail running, this speciality of trail running, which is the vertical races, are really good for kids coming out from athletics, coming from shorter races, or from the roads also. I think they usually tend to crush it here. So we will see how these young guns can do with the experience of the rest of the runners.
It is a race that it's very, very focused on having top power to rate. power to weight ratio. You know, so it's in that way, there is very, very small technical requirement. As you say, there's certain areas where you do have to get good at power hiking because the gradients are so high. You know, there's 40% gradients in this route. The average is 16%, that's above what most people consider a runnable climb. You know, if you went out for your local Sunday run and you hit a 16% gradient, quite a lot of the time you would decide to power walk.
Yeah.
But here you can't do that for that because that's actually the average gradient.
Yeah.
So
you better run.
you better run some of it. And what we do see now, though, is what's kind of called the green zone on the route. And for those who are watching on live trail, you can notice that you can put on the gradient, and there is a little bit of a dip here after the first timing point. You know, it's over pretty quick, as you can see here on the photo.
Yeah.
But there is a section where there's actually a little bit of descent and some very low gradients, kind of 3 to 6%, where you could try, if you've started too hard, to just shake it off and get a second wind, because the second part is easier and it is shallower.
Yeah, it's also this, even though it's really, really short, it's also good to sort of, I don't want to say stretch the legs, but at least shake them from the pain that this 16% average gradient brings to you. As we see right here, we're watching Diego Suarez, one of our current, I think it's either our current leader or one of our current.
He is in second position as far as I can see. So David Villoria has gone way ahead, if the trackers are correct.
Yeah.
He's already at the.
You're right.
Yes, he's nearly at the. He's got about 3 kilometers left. Yeah, he's created himself a really good gap. Now we're seeing here one of these micro descents that we have on the route.
It's tricky, eh? It's
not clean sailing. You know, you can't just switch off your brain and go in cruise mode and see let's get my mind back fresh as well. Like, you really have to concentrate, or you're gonna take. This is the sort of spot where you take an easy fall.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's not a clean trail. You have this sort of man-made sections with rocks and everything, but it's not easy, and you cannot take your eye out. I think we're having beautiful imagery right now, like really beautiful footage out of the straight out from the course with our runners there. But they don't make justice on how technical the terrain can get, and how if you take your eye out straight, that's our finish line. That's the Torreta del Time. Up there is where our runners are trying to reach as fast as possible on this vertical uphill race. But as I was saying, it's you cannot take your eye out of the trail. Otherwise, a trip there on those really dumb downhills can really complicate your race, or even, you know, get you a bit out of it. So yeah, it's beautiful. It's a really beautiful vertical. It's not as your usual straight out vertical race, and I think also just turning around and seeing the plain, you know, the immensity of the Atlantic Ocean behind you, it just gives you know, this sensation of being really, really small in nature, not just because of the massive mountains you're running in, but also the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. So again, let me just give a shout out to the chat. I know there's people out there. I think you're a bit too shy to talk with us. We have over 50 people watching here, so let us know, where are you watching us from, who are you cheering for, and so far, what do you think about these beautiful images we're bringing out from the 15th anniversary of Transvulcania Adidas TERREX on this first race, which is the vertical uphill? I think we're gonna have another interview. Yeah, Jaime is gonna bring us, as we see, our first image
This
from the
is
ladies today.
Ironi Gauna, so she's the leading female.
Bueno,
at the
va a
moment.
salir, si me permitís, en nada, menos de 3 minutos. Víctor, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás?
Bien, la verdad que muy bien, muy contento por esta edición en Transvulcania. A la vez ya tener la edad para correr la categoría de la vertical. Contento con los tiempos que estoy haciendo mis entrenos, me han salido súper bien y me alegro de que alguien como la Transvulcania me entreviste, porque no me había sentido tan feliz como que me entreviste la gente como Transvulcania.
Qué bueno, 16 años de los llanos. Se vaya, nos están pidiendo, Víctor, campeonísimo de Canarias 7 veces en distintas modalidades. La verdad es que otro de los jóvenes enganchado a esto del trail, enganchado al disfrute ahora mismo de las imágenes. Arranca ya Víctor García.
So that was Victor Garcia Paz with Jaime, our partner there. He's just 16 years old, and he was super happy, super stoked to be racing the vertical. He said he's been training well, so he hopes to perform according to his training today. But I really like what he says, that he was proud and happy to be interviewed by the race, that he has the space of talking to all the people watching today. So really nice to see these young lads tackling and being fans of the sport, of course, and yeah, seeing new generations. I sound like a really old person, but I really love seeing all these kids super excited for trail running.
Yes, and apparently he's a 7-time Canary Islands champion over various running distances.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just really cool to see that with just 16 years old, he's being a champion. He has the place. He's got the space to run with people his age, and this also shows the growth of trail running in the last couple of years, that are the foundations, the basis for the growth of everything, not just the competitiveness of it, but also for attracting new runners, for bringing more people to run, which in the end it's the most beautiful thing, having more people running trails, more people doing sports and healthy stuff out there in the mountain.
And we can see here, as the runners are making their way up, there is a lot of viewing points and supporters. I imagine most of them are supporters. There might be a few who are just tourists or locals who are up hiking, but they get a chance to see the race.
I saw someone before with an umbrella there, like bringing everything they need. There, that people there. Look at that group of people enjoying their day out, cheering people, just hanging out with some bit of shade there, as if they were in the beach, but no, they're in the middle of the mountain cheering for the runners of this vertical uphill race on this Thursday evening. Just a random Thursday evening cheering people, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. It's something you can do as well in the south, because I can tell you, up here, in a lot of our races, unless it's summer, you can't really support people high up, either because it's too wild and unmarked, or the weather is simply too poor.
Yeah.
So it's a huge advantage of races, in the south, is that you can really get a little bit of that spectator culture going that I think a lot of us grew up with. I used to grow up watching the Tour de France.
Oh, yeah.
And, there was just nothing better than seeing those mountain stages where people camp all day just to get a chance to get a glimpse of the cyclists, and I think we'd all like to see, maybe not exactly the same scale and in exactly the same way for trail running, but we would like to see it more respected and loved, and it is growing, every single year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our Tour de France, our Tourmalet or whatever mountain you like from the mountain stages is it translates to trail running in Zegama, right? In the race in the Basque Country in 2 weeks, where people take they get out there and they hang out to see that massive. You've probably seen videos out there of runners just passing through this massive tunnel of people, and I also like it here in La Palma. The finish line in Los Llanos de Aridane is also really, really beautiful. People just hanging out on bars or just out there watching people finish. Not just of course the first runners, the winners, they get a bigger fanfare, of course. But what I like, especially from Los Llanos and from the island here, is that the whole town, the whole people of the island are out there, even from early in the morning in Los Canarios at the 8 kilometers into the ultra, but also on the finish line, of course. They are hanging out all day, cheering from first to last, and making them feel a part of the island, making them feel the heat of the people, feel the warm love they have for this sport now already. So I think there's a bit of a these races are sort of our little Tour de France, right?
Yeah, and I've seen the pictures. Sagama definitely looks to be right up there with one that has the most passionate supporters. And of course, there are other races as well, and it's a culture that's growing. I believe we'll have another interview shortly, but I think we'll keep you entertained until it's Joaquin Gonzalez, the head judge from Tazacorte VK of the race. So we will get him in for a few questions now in a minute, while you watch quite a lot of runners now converging on this steep tarmac section that we saw earlier.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy buenas tardes ya, pues bien, aquí comenzando con la Transvulcania en esta maravillosa prueba de trail del calendario de la Federación Española de Atletismo.
Bueno, cuéntame cuál es vuestra labor, porque te veo a ti como principal, pero también tenemos aquí dos efectivos más, me imagino que arriba también tendremos alguno más. ¿Qué es vuestra labor? O sea, ¿en qué se basa? ¿Qué es lo que estáis haciendo ahora mismo?
Sí, principalmente un control de los tiempos y sobre todo un control del material obligatorio que la organización establece, que en este sentido para la vertical es portar un vaso para, por temas medioambientales, que en los puntos de avituallamiento no existan desechos ni desperdicios, pues cada corredor tiene que llevar su propio vaso. Y luego un teléfono móvil por si ocurre cualquier emergencia, poder comunicarse inmediatamente con la organización. Esta es nuestra principal labor, controlar el material obligatorio, que salgan en el orden establecido, que lleven el dorsal y que cumplan con la normativa de atletismo en la Federación Española.
Estamos hablando de cuántos efectivos.
Pues hoy somos 5 jueces, 3 aquí en meta, 2 arriba y uno en el punto intermedio en el avituallamiento del time.
Oye, ¿me vas a permitir que les lancemos un mensaje a todos ellos? Porque yo sé que tenéis este fin de semana cursillo, si no me equivoco, en Tenerife, tú me corrijas, pero diles algo, porque hay mucha gente que quería estar aquí y al final no ha podido ser porque están ahora mismo en el cursillo.
Sí, el calendario del atletismo es bastante intenso, hay actividad en todas las islas, en casi toda la península, y siempre intentamos cubrir por todos lados, pero bueno, en cualquier caso, Transvulcania hay todos los años, siempre se puede venir, siempre se puede participar, es una prueba futuro, y aquí, si no pueden venir este año, podrán venir el siguiente.
¿Sabes que eres el primer árbitro en este caso que habla en directo?
Eso me han dicho, yo la verdad es que ha sido un atraco por parte de este speaker que me ha cogido ahí, me ha arrastrado, pero bueno, a tu disposición, ya sea mañana en la KIT y el sábado en la ultramaratón, que tenemos horas de largo para comunicar y para dar visibilidad a la labor del juez de atletismo.
El castigo de la amistad, ¿se puede decir esto?
Ya, sí, un poco.
Bueno, me gustaría que rápidamente nos vinieseis para acá, porque aquí tenemos ahora mismo, dejamos a Joaquín, nos venimos acá donde tenemos aquí los plátanos, que no pueden faltar evidentemente, y tenemos también todos esos vasos que tenemos de papel, bueno, pues repletos hasta arriba de agua, mucho calor, repetimos, aquí en el puerto de Tazacorte, mientras vemos que se van sirviendo. Así que chicos, chicas, estamos ya en las 5:55, esto está el rojo vivo ya, ¿eh?
Marina, ¿cuándo sale?
Thank you, Jaime, once again. That was Joaquin Gonzalez, official judge and referee from the Spanish Federation of Athletic Federation. His job basically is to control the rules established by the race, call it bib numbers, mandatory equipment, making it legal and trying to keep the competition fair between all the runners, but especially the fastest ones. They have 5 judges in total today between start, course, and finish to check that everything is going staying under the line. And he said he was tricked by Jaime to be the first referee chatting in streaming. So yeah, it's interesting. There's talking about the growth of the sport. It's interesting to see how everything is going to a more professional side, right? Not just from the federation side also, but the whole events in general, the brands supporting Adidas, for example, Adidas support here in Transvulcania is massive, and it gives not just the prestige of being with one of the most recognized brands in the world in the sports market, but also to make a bigger event in general, having better top runners, better prices, and of course what I like the most, it's the race packet, the what you get when you sign up for one of this race, being just a runner, just one of the popular runners that comes here and sign up and pays their registration as everyone else. You get a beautiful packet thanks to Adidas, and I think all of this sets the bar higher for all the races, and to be better, to keep growing and to keep making this sport even more beautiful than it is. How are you, Rene? Are you back?
I am back, and I think it's definitely one of the things that really distinguishes running from a lot of other sports is that the vast majority of our races, you have so-called ordinary people running with the elites. It's really only a few championships where it's just the elite, and especially in trail running, this is the case. And that's something, because we talk about, is this our Tour de France and so on, that you obviously cannot do that in the Tour de France, and you cannot do it in a lot of other top events in many other sports just because of the nature. So we really have something special there, in that the people who are starting out today and who started out first are running the exact same race on the exact same day as the top elites and the internationals that are going to finish towards the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Today's format is not a massive start, of course, as you are all seeing. But as Rene says, you will never be able to play a friendly match with Messi, but you can definitely start a race with Luca del Pero, as it's happening today, and as it's going to happen during the weekend, as he's also racing the marathon, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, this is something unique on our sport, and I think it's one of the most beautiful things that it has, outside of the suffering you can see right there that people is having on this vertical uphill. It has a lot of beauty around it, and look at that guy just checking the views while he takes a little bit of a breath. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's crazy. You wouldn't start a race with Tadej Pogacar today, but you can definitely start a race with Kilian Jornet, just to say a name. But and I think this is one of the most beautiful things of our sport, definitely.
Yeah, it's very intimate. Just here as we watch, actually, a little bit of passing action. The runner, then the red singlet, is making some tracks, and another person who's making tracks now is David. David Viloria. He is now within roughly 3 minutes of the finish line, and the nearest follower is still Diego Tiep, and he's about 6 minutes, about a 3 minute gap he's got. So he definitely will get, it looks like, the honor of being the first person to cross the finish line today physically.
Yeah, he's gonna be opening the finish lines for this festival, for this 15th anniversary of Transvulcania Adidas TERREX. David Viloria Ocharan. In just a few minutes, he's going to be our first finisher. It says 0.3k, right? He's really close to the finish line.
Yeah, I'm getting an estimate down to 2 minutes now, so we'll keep a close eye, because he might suddenly speed up as he sees the finish line nearing, as many of us do if we have anything left at all in the legs.
Absolutely. We're going to have another interview really soon with Ainhoa Lendines, one of our top athletes of today. She's from Basque Country. Hopefully we will hear Jaime really soon. But yeah, I want to add the Japanese runner Yuri Yoshizumi. She won the race in 2017, and she's going to be fighting today with Ainhoa we have a really nice field of ladies today tackling this vertical uphill race, but I think all the lights are gonna be around Maud Matisse, right?
Yeah, well, she is the legend, isn't she? You know, there's very few. There are a few in the sport who can really match her achievements, but there are very few because the list of things she has won is so long that on most broadcasts like this we can't even go through it.
Debilidad por esta mujer, bueno, muchos la conoceréis de hace muchísimos años y otros, evidentemente, del País Vasco la conocen bien. Ella es la televisiva Ainhoa Lendínez. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás?
Oso, ¿no?
Oye, qué guay, qué placer verte aquí. Una carrera que no habías hecho, fíjate lo que son las cosas y que tenías muchísimas ganas, ¿no?
Sí, porque íbamos a venir, tenía dorsal en el 21, que fue cuando lo del volcán, y se suspendió la carrera y bueno, a nosotros nos cuesta venir a la playa y a las islas, pero con esta carrera, teniendo esto sí que me apetecía mucho, o sea que este es el año.
Oye, Ainhoa, ya son muchos años y sigues ahí, sigues apretándote, haciendo lo que uno puede, evidentemente, pero no pierdes la ilusión, que es lo importante, ¿no?
No, es verdad que he hecho muchísimas carreras, ahora las elijo más por el corazón, por el recorrido, por el ambiente. Siempre hago las de casa porque sin duda las de Euskal Herria son las mejores para mí, pero luego al año me gusta hacer alguna así fuera de Euskal Herria, fuera de casa, y bueno, esta tenía ganas de hacerla.
Bueno, ella ha dicho que a los vascos les cuesta venir, pero hay muchísimos vascos este fin de semana aquí en La Palma y me gustaría que les dijeras algo hasta incluso en euskera. Lánzate y diles algún mensaje a todos ellos.
Bueno, ondo pasau, musu handi bat, nik musu handi bat nere familiari, nere amari ikustelari dala, nere joei, lider eta aiari, eta batez ere, atzo se nos murió un compañero de la tele. Nos dieron la noticia en cuanto llegamos al aeropuerto y un besazo a todos los compañeros de la tele, a su familia, porque están siendo días súper duros. Pero si no, aquí muy bien. Hace mucho calor. Jaime, hoy ya sabes que el recorrido no es para mí porque es de correr. No sabía qué hacer, si bastones no, pero no es un kilómetro vertical, es una subida vertical. Entonces, bueno, pues a disfrutar lo que se pueda y a sufrir también.
Ainhoa, lo dicho, como al principio, un placer, ganas de verte y a ver cómo se da. Apriétate, apriétate, no quedes mal.
Yo estoy nerviosa siempre y tengo miedo siempre, pero luego aprieto todo lo que pueda.
Bueno, pues un placer estar con esta señorita. La verdad es que ya son muchos años y mucha experiencia. Muchísimas gracias y a seguir con estas ganas.
Es que ricasco.
Bueno, pues continuamos aquí con calor y para los vascos esto es peor, ¿eh? Van todos mojados. Acaba de venir ahora mismo, ha bebido, se ha refrescado y se ha tirado toda el agua posible por encima de su cuerpo para poder salir, que sale nada en 7 minutos.
So that was Ainhoa Lendínez, the Basque runner, with Jaime there chatting a bit. She's a journalist. She's extremely happy to be here as she was signed up for the 2021 race that was cancelled due to the volcanic eruption. She's been running. She's been a top runner back in the day, and now she's enjoying a bit more of racing. She said that it's complicated for Basques to be here in the island, but and she usually tries to race closer to home. But yeah, she's happy to have done the trip and to be racing today here at the vertical uphill that she's gonna push. Even though she's not as competitive as she was back in the day, she's gonna be trying to compete anyway. Then she spoke in euskera, in Basque, in their language, and I cannot translate that. I'm so sorry.
No, unfortunately, I can't help you there, Mauri. But I think we'll return to Maud Matisse at around 29 minutes past 6 when she's due to start, because she had a very kind of interesting trajectory, I think, from 2023 to 24. But a few spots before her, we have probably the local favorite. Actually, here we have the first runner. So,
yeah,
as expected,
yeah,
it is David Ocharan, and his finish time seems to have been just around 63 minutes.
Great race by David, finishing our first runner crossing the finish line. Opening, let's say that he has the honor of opening this 2025 Transvulcania Adidas TERREX finish line, even though he's probably not gonna win the race today, but he's the first one to complete one of the races here in quite Basque fashion and looking super amazing. on his finish. Let's see, he did a 1 hour 3 minutes and 19 seconds official time. Let me say that's pretty fast anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I think if you have wandered onto this stream here and not knowing what you're watching, this whole event works a bit like the prologue in the Tour de France or other cycling races like that. So that means as the first runners come in, they record times, and you could be in the lead. Obviously the first runner will be in the lead, being the only time, but the next runner might come in with a faster time, and all you can do then is basically sit and wait to see if your time is going to hold up and how far down the table you will drop as the big guns, well, they don't roll off the ramp in this race, but as they take off from those black sands up to the top.
It's absolutely the opposite of running down the ramp, right? It's you get to this wall of climbing straight out from the gun. It would be really nice to see a hot seat, right? Like they do on the prologues or in the time trials. Getting David to sit there until someone runs faster than him would be fun.
Pues sí, Carlos García Hurtado, uno de los hombres que probablemente vaya a dar... No lo digo, no te pongas tampoco, serio. Yo apuesto por ti, Carlos.
Bueno, me quieres demasiado, Jaime. Muchos años ya conociéndome, pero bueno, tenemos muchas ganas, eso seguro.
Lo dices siempre muy tranquilo, ¿sabes? O sea, que parece que no vaya con él. Mira, Carlos, llevas 2 años... Bueno, llevas toda la vida corriendo, pero 2 años prácticamente sin competir, fijado. Bueno, con esa plaza de bombero que ya es tuya, así que lo primero, enhorabuena, y lo segundo, qué ganas teníamos de verte competir.
Muchas gracias. Lo primero, yo sí que tenía ganas de volver. Ha sido estos años, la verdad, que dejar de correr, dejar de competir es complicado, pero era lo primero, la oposición, y ahora ya que estamos centrados, volvemos a ver si al máximo nivel, poco a poco, pero con ganas.
Bueno, permíteme que me remonte hace 10, 15 años, eras un chiquillo. Has recorrido medio mundo, has participado en pruebas relativamente muy importantes, pruebas mundiales, evidentemente, con ese equipo de Invers, ¿te acuerdas de Inver Ocular? La verdad es que era un equipazo donde estaba Manu Anguita, bueno, había muchos andaluces, evidentemente, era un club de allí, de la zona, pero que me refiero que con tanta juventud, tanta experiencia, al final eso... Yo creo que suma siempre, evidentemente.
Sí, eso siempre es un plus. Además, allí en Granada es que es lo que has dicho, está la familia Anguita, está Ikram, Vanessa, Nico. Al final somos jóvenes todos, pero es verdad que hemos corrido mucho y en muchos sitios.
Oye, si te podía hacer la pregunta de si te puedes quedar con solamente una carrera de todas las que has hecho, ¿cuál sería la carrera? No me vale Transvulcania, ya sabemos que es una de ellas, pero ¿cuál sería?
No lo sé, hay muchas carreras, no podría saberlo.
No sé, dime 2 nombres, 3.
En Italia en general me quedo con un país, me gusta Italia. Correr en Italia siempre está muy guay. O el País Vasco también está muy bien, por eso.
Bueno, Carlos, ¿y este año dónde vamos a ver? Te vemos aquí en Transvulcania. ¿Vas a hacer también la media, si no me equivoco?
Sí, voy a hacer la media y ya luego voy al Vertical de Cegama y los campeonatos de España de la RFA, a ver qué tal sale.
¿Viajes al extranjero de momento?
No, este año no, poco a poco.
Carlos, es un placer verte de nuevo, tío. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Jaime.
Bueno, pues ya sabéis, gente muy joven, pero que tiene una experiencia a raudales. La verdad es que este hombre ha recorrido medio mundo. El granadino, como a mí me gusta decirle, Carlos García Hurtado.
So that was, as Jaime said, Carlos García Hurtado. He's excited to be racing today. After an interesting story, he's coming back to racing after 2 years being out because he was applying to be a firefighter. Getting to be a firefighter in Spain, it's really complicated. You really need to train, study, and then give a really tough exam that he's happy to have passed and be now an official firefighter and being back racing. He's trying to come back to his maximum level. He says he loves running in the island. He did race the half in 2022 and also running the half again on Saturday here. After this race, he's going to be at the VK, the Vertical Kilometer in Zegama, and then he's going to try the national championships to see where he's standing right now, and from there trying to get back to his level.
I think that's our 3rd finisher, because while we were just having the interview, the second finisher actually arrived, and he did beat David's times. That was Diego Suarez Tiep. He is now the current race leader in terms of overall time with 62 minutes and 29 seconds. And the third finisher we had here was Alvaro Gomez in 68:20. And now we have our fourth finisher coming in here.
And our first woman. Amazing.
Yes, it is. As we expected, it's Iruni Vélez de Mendizabal Gauna. So what do you think of my attempt at that?
That's fantastic. Great job, and it's really complicated name.
Bueno, claro, yo estoy fantástico. Si es que no sé si me haces tú a mí la entrevista o yo a ti. Eres un canalla. Bueno, que te decía, mucho calor y además lo estabas tú diciendo y acusando.
Hay que gestionarse bien, salir tranquilo, porque aquí esta parte es muy dura y luego de la mitad para arriba, del time para arriba, intentar apretar otro poquito lo que nos quede.
Bueno, te hemos pillado ahora prácticamente hace nada, que estabas calentando, pero que también estabas tomando geles, si no me equivoco. Cuéntanos, ¿qué has tomado antes de salir?
Estaba tomando un gel de Santa Madre que me viene bien un poquito, 10 minutitos antes de la carrera, para coger un poquito de azúcar, echarle un poquito de aceite al turbo y salir para arriba.
Es impresionante el lenguaje que usas siempre. Bueno, y ahora hazme no sé, un top 5, por ejemplo. El top 5 de Areski Habibi.
El top 5 de la carrera de hoy. Pedro, el que sale el último. El que sale detrás mío, que no sé cómo se llama porque el nombre es difícil. Creo que ahí va a estar Aitami Brito, puede estar Kevin, el palmero también. He visto que se ha borrado algún élite y yo quiero estar ahí también. ¿Qué pasa? Yo quiero estar.
Bueno, y te queda algo más, ¿no? Este fin de semana.
La media el sábado, así que a disfrutar de la Transvulcania con las élites aquí, pecharnos con los mejores y otro año más.
Mucha suerte como siempre, Areski. Igualmente.
Me alegro, Berti, que estés aquí otro año más.
Yo con este hombre no puedo, estas entrevistas no las podría hacer con él, porque al final siempre sale con su vocabulario, con sus cosas, y la verdad, yo siempre se lo digo, medio broma, medio en serio, pero todo esto deberías escribirlo, tío, deberías escribirlo.
No.
Sí.
Nah, esto se habla y ya se comunica y la gente lo escucha, a lo mejor si le gusta, lo acepta, y si no, pues... Pero no cambiar como uno es, eso no.
¿Te puedo hacer la última?
Claro.
¿Bastones o no?
Bastones no, ni de coña. Bastones ni de coña. A lo mejor en una ultra sí. Pero la gente me cayó encima, los pro bastones, los seguidores de Merilla. Hablan la Merilla. Mira, a mi Merilla me da igual. Merilla es una máquina, pero... yo me refería a no usarlos como un atajo, sino a entrenar, como una herramienta, claro que sí. Pero creo buen hate.
Grande Areski, la verdad que con él siempre muy difícil, un personaje, lo queremos muchísimo. Areski, de arriba abajo, un genio y figura. Gracias, tío.
That was an interesting interview with Areski Habibi, who was 10th last year here at the vertical uphill race in Transvulcania. He says he's feeling really hot. It's really hot down there. And close to the sea in Puerto de Tazacorte, trying to get out as calm as he can and trying to be smart and keep on his own strategy. He said he took a little gel to oil the turbo as he's trying to be on the top 5, and he thinks Luca Del Pero is going to win today, but he will try to do his best to be on that top 5. The whole interview was in a really, really fun and informal Spanish. Jaime was having a bit of fun around that, and the final question was poles, yes or no, and he said no F-way, he's using poles. And Jaime asked about Merillas. Manu Merillas uses poles, and he says he doesn't care. He's him, and he doesn't use poles, and he doesn't like them. So that was a really, really energetic, fun pre-racing down there. Yes, more runners were coming down the finish line, and we are getting closer. It's 6:15 p.m. and in the next couple of minutes, let's say. No, it's already happening. The faster runners, now we are starting with the 1 minute split starters, so our fast runners are going to be out on the course really soon, as we see runner number 182 finishing. Let's see his name.
So I think that is Ivan Guerrero.
No, it's the name
just
I couldn't
double-checking
pronounce
that.
earlier. Sorry, it's the Polish runner Maciej.
You're right. Yes, we missed the previous finish. We didn't see him, but yeah, you're right. It's Maciej or Wach. If there's any Polish people listening, they can or they're on the YouTube. You can try and give us some hints on how to pronounce it.
We had someone from Poland, so please help us pronounce it well.
And he came in a time of 74:10. The ladies' mark at the moment as well, for those who are wondering where that stands. So we had Irene come in just over 67 minutes, and we're expecting that the next female to finish was actually the first runner that we saw leave earlier today. So that was Line Christine.
That's great. I really like. I'm sorry, I tend to go silent for a second because I am trying to understand and get the most juice possible of this new version of LiveTrail. It's really cool. Go check it out yourself. It's transvulcania.b3.livetrail.net, or if you just go to transvulcania.livetrail.net and then you put test the beta version, the B3 version, you'll see it right there. It's really, really cool as we see our first top 10 with just checking the leaderboards as they are runners still finishing. We see the first 4 there with Ivan Roman Hierro, who's currently our fastest runner, who finished in 59 minutes. And then Diego Suarez, David Viloria Ocharan, and currently Irune Vélez de Mendizábal Gauna is 4th overall, but there's still a lot of runners on course.
And now we have Estelia Almeida from the Arista Pro team, so you would expect a good run from her here.
So from the Arista Pro team, she's from our friends at Arista in Gran Canaria. Also another Canary runner there. She seemed to be going out fast. We'll see definitely what her time is later. Just in around 50-ish minutes to an hour, we will see them crossing the finish line up at La Torre.
Yeah, she had a good start to the year. She ran, she was in 3rd place in another local race, the Reventón El Paso 17.6k race, which also has fairly significant gain, 840 meters of elevation, and she has all the good finishes in the other. There's so many races down here on the Canary Islands, which is something else our listeners should know. You know, she's good events in the Tenerife Blue Trail, the Canarias Anaga Marathon, you know, so there's so many races to do here, and there's so many trails to explore. But she's one to watch. She will probably not, though, be among the absolute favorites, because we have one of them coming up. So shortly before Maud Matisse and the Japanese runner Yuri that we mentioned before, there is a bit of a local dark horse in Moana Keres Keres, who is a tremendous runner over the VK. And has a lot of local knowledge in this race and previous good results. So you would expect her probably to be a shoe-in nearly for the podium if she can run up to her regular form.
Absolutely. As we wait for Silvia Lara to start, let me say that Moana is a local runner. She runs for Team Wild Trail Project, the Nike team in Spain. And yeah, she's a really young talent, a really amazing young talent that the island has given to trail running, and I would count on her today. She there's a Spanish expression saying "se hace grande." She goes big when running the local races, especially here in Transvulcania. So I think we will see her crush today on this vertical uphill.
And here we can see a runner who doesn't share the opinion on poles that was stated in that earlier interview.
She's doing really good usage of those poles, huh?
Yeah, but it is tricky, you know, and especially if I think a lot of people come into running, and one of the things that strikes us first is the freedom, you know, and part of the freedom is the lack of equipment, and it's something that has changed a little bit in the years, especially the last 10 years. You know, there's a lot of equipment, there's a lot of gear in trail running, and you know, you can get carried away. Now, I think most people would agree that objectively speaking, poles probably do offer an advantage, but you do have to know how to use them. So if you feel like they're in your way, they're getting, you know, in the way of your groove, or you just can't really get in terms of the technique, you're definitely better off without.
Yeah, I think once you dominate the art of using the poles, your legs, of course, they thank you for it, but outside of the legs themselves, I would say your back really thanks you for using those poles. It's really
That's a very motivated starter.
Yeah,
So
I was
what would-
distracted by that. That's Charlotte Cotton.
This Charlotte Cotton, yeah, one of the favorites.
She was really excited to be out there. We missed Ezequiel Paulusac. I don't know if he's racing finally. I'm gonna text him to see if he raced. But yeah, it's.
Well, yeah, Charlotte is a regular top 10 in European VK events, you know, and she represents Belgium.
Is she on the national teams for vertical races for Belgium? You know. Let's check.
So here I think this is nearly the first footage we've seen here. As you can see, one of the little aid stations on the right-hand side, and we've gone back now. So now we are watching Diego Ortega from Club Atletismo Albacete.
Diego Pata Liebre. That's his nickname, Diego. Let me say, one of the dark horses for today. Diego is a really, really good uphill runner. We will see how the day goes for him. Diego, who has been, he's a skier too. He's part of the national trail running team for Spain, and yeah, he's been living in Argentina for a couple months last year. As we get to see, she was our first runner today, right? She opened the race.
She did, yes, and now she's in here, and I think she might be the 7th or 8th finisher as she crossed the line.
Yeah, great
She's
spirit.
the 10th finisher across the line.
Amazing. Second lady, right? Let's see. Yeah, Lina Christine Schenk from Germany was the second woman to cross the finish line, our 10th runner out. And also with number 10, we have Raquel Casares Lopez out in the course already, and we're getting to our final runners. Opening this course, getting to the final runners to jump on this beautiful vertical uphill. This first couple of hours of this festival, we're gonna be living during the whole weekend. Rene, you're gonna have to be here next year, man. We're gonna have to.
Yeah. Look, if I can swing it with the family, Mari, I would love.
Yeah.
I'd love to be in the sunshine instead of
Bring them all.
here in the office. So I think we have 6 runners left to go now on the start list, and this is Areshki Habibi, also representing Spain, and he's another local runner.
Absolutely, he's not using poles. 100%
He's
new.
not using. No, there's a trend set. So while we watch him come out, I think our research team have just given us a bit of interesting information about, you know, Charlotte Cotton, because some people might be wondering with that name why she's representing Belgium. And in fact, you know, Charlotte Cotton has a very interesting background, having been born in London. She lives in Spain and she competes for Belgium. So that's quite a mixture of allegiances. And her aunt competed in alpine skiing for Belgium in 1964.
Wow, that's a background in that's a sports family, right?
Yeah, and it gets better. Her grandfather was a world champion water skier.
Wow, water skiing.
So
that's amazing.
So there was clearly a bit of pressure from the home front to be sporty. But to go to your earlier question, she has represented Belgium at the Skyrunning VK Open Championship, and her best finish there is 3rd place. So you would expect her to have a decent finish today.
Amazing, and she, as what I can see, she was 6th overall at the World Masters Mountain Running Championships in Spain last year at the Classic, at the 17K. So yeah, she's an avid podium contender in a lot of races. So yeah, she raced Marnagora and she was 15th. Yeah, she's an amazing runner. We'll see how it goes for her today on this beautiful vertical uphill. As we saw Boris Orlak from France heading out, and here she is. That's Moana Lili Queres, the local runner, the local credit, the local talent from Team UltraTrail project, from Team Nike in Spain. Moana is ready to tackle this vertical uphill, and definitely one of our contenders here as she gets ready for it. And there she goes, straight up the hill in her home trails. She knows exactly where she's running from, every single rock around this vertical uphill. Moana Queres, one of the talents we have today. And we saw Yuri back there. This is gonna be fun because Yuri has a reference. Yuri has a reference with Moana starting just 1 minute in front of her. And right after Yuri, it's gonna start Maud. So I think all our 3 women contenders are gonna be racing in 2 minutes. So I think we may have a visual winner today with in the ladies' side.
And I think it's tactically, this is one of the most interesting battles of the day, because Yuri, throughout most of her career, has been known to start fast, and she's very strong on this kind of dry technical terrain. And then on the other hand, you have Maud Matisse, who's known to be a great tactician, and a superb pacer. So I kind of wonder, will we see Yuri trying to close down Moana hard in the first steep part of the race? And will that actually work to her disadvantage maybe? And then we have Maud just kind of eating them up from the back. I think that is one version how it could play out. But it should be really good viewing, especially because, as I said, we have a good few camera spots here, and the ladies are so close that hopefully we'll get some overtaking action.
Oh, hopefully we get that. That would be beautiful. I think Maud is the most benefited runner. Luca.
Bien, espero de fare una buona carretera, una buena carrera. C'est la segunda volta aquí. Muy bonito, I love it.
Oye, ¿alguna estimación en cuanto al tiempo? ¿Qué prevés?
I think, penso 50 minutos. 50.
Bueno, no sé qué opináis vosotros, pero bueno, vamos a dejar ya del pelo. Enhorabuena por tener estar aquí con nosotros y te deseamos la mejor de las suertes. Gracias.
Gracias a vos.
Bueno, Luca, que se habla tranquilo, le queda nada, le queda menos de 1 minuto. Es el último en arrancar.
There she is, Maud Matisse. Oh, she's starting fast. She's going for them. Yeah.
She means business. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. And that was Luca Del Pero, our final starter of the day, our main candidate on the men's side. Luca Del Pero from Italy, Team Scarpa. He says his second time here in the island. He loves the race. He loves being here in La Palma. Hopes to do a great race and wishes to do around 50 minutes, which I think he can definitely run faster than that. We will see how interested he is in winning this thing and how much he wants to take on the rest of the runners. So as we see Moana going on this switchbacks on she's going on a really smart pace, I believe. Let's see if we can get some visual from Yuri and from Maud. But straight out, I can say that Maud was, meaning business, absolutely, as you said it.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, they consider 2024 a bit of a comeback season because Maud had Achilles surgery, I believe, in 2023, and she lost most of that season. And you know, she had really good results last year, but there were a few uncharacteristic results as well, which is common. You know, when you lose a whole year and you lose the training, it just takes a bit of the stability away from your performances. But from the way she came out there and the way she finished last year, she seems to be very close to back to top form. You know, so it's going to be extremely difficult. Although Moana looked really good. You know, she's nice and upright. She has a good rhythm. As we know with Maud, she has this slightly more, very characteristic, you know, more bend over posture. But don't let that fool you if you are looking. Don't let the power hiking fool you either, because she's very, very good at using that to her advantage. Even if sometimes that might give you the illusion that she's not moving as fast as she is.
It's funny because you were mentioning all of her uphill quality, uphill characteristics, and she did them, all of them, in just a couple meters. But yeah, the body language speaks. She's going for it, and she definitely looks faster so far. It's really early, and then you know the whole terrain changes. But from comparing to Moana, we haven't had images from Yuri to have a full comparison on the three of them. But looks like, yeah, Maud is going for it, 100%.
Yeah, and I think those little micro transitions, that shows one of the really special skills that you need to master when you go into mountain running, and that's where some people coming from track and road struggle, because you have the higher variation of terrain, and that means a runner who can actually master different kind of tempos, different gears, and you know, even different kind of styles, and can transition between them effortlessly, rather than having it be like, you know, a disruption to one rhythm that they really prefer. They can really excel in the mountains, you know, and I think that's one thing that will hold you back sometimes if you are a very metronomic runner, you know, who are used to just settling into, you know, your one rhythm and hammering away. Because in a course like this, where the gradients change, the surfaces change, you can switch the load more if you are really good at, you know, picking the right gear for the right challenge as you go up.
Yeah, exactly, and it's interesting to see those runners coming from a track or road background when they start learning to do those little switches, because it's you mentioned 3 different techniques for uphill. Then imagine for downhills how many you have to control to be the most efficient. In the end, trail running is about being the most efficient you can in different sort of terrains. It's not just about being fast, but it's I really like watching these guys that are extremely fast on the roads when they master the art of transitioning between techniques and being more efficient. It's lovely. It's like poetry in motion, watching them do as we just saw Maud. But we saw Maud Matisse do it in just a few couple meters. It's just beautiful to see them competing. And as I mentioned earlier on the streaming, also watching the regular runner, you know, the everyday runner, the person who just does this because they feel better, they love the sport, and also seeing these more dedicated runners, more almost, let's say, professional runners, how they tackle the exact same trails. And we've been talking about it for a lot, and we won't be tired of mentioning it, but this is one of the most beautiful things, just watching everyone being there out there on the course. Oh, there you have a Yuri. Oh, Maud already has Yuri.
Yeah, she's been caught real fast here.
Wow.
Faster than I expected.
Yeah. Jeez.
And here amazing. She's using, you know, the really bent over posture. You know, for a lot of us, when we go into that position, we're really, really struggling. But it is a posture you can use well before. And if you know how to do it, if you know how to load the legs correctly, and you can see that there, you know, she's basically chasing them down with this walking gait. But it's going to even out there now for a little bit. So Yuri will probably try and get back. She does look like she's struggling a bit more with the terrain.
Yeah, let's see how it goes when they start transitioning. But it's pure math now. Maud already caught a minute on Yuri, as we see Luca also passing both of them. Luca is gonna be crushing it today, I believe. He's got as far as we've seen, as I think Luca doesn't have competition today. He looks really solid, and with all due respect to all of the runners, of course, the rest of the runners, but he's moving extremely fast regarding the rest.
And with Maud now having passed out Yuri, unless there is a real surprising comeback, it's down now. It's between the two of them. So our local favorite Moana and Maud Matisse. And I say, if you were going on Paddy Power or betting site, and not that we condone that, nor that you could bet on it, you probably would be putting a few quid, as we say up here, on Maud at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because back in the day, it's been already 8 years since Yuri won this vertical uphill race. But she was running as fast as we were seeing Maud today. She really crushed these trails back in the day, and this is a completely personal experience here. But it was the first time I saw a TV team come to a race. She was with the Japanese television crew, filming her all around. They were following her like she was like a massive superstar, as it was part of the skyrunning championships back in the day, and she was being a champion here in Transvulcania, and it was incredible to watch so many cameras around the runner, and it's not that far away in time. It was only 8 years ago, but it was crazy to watch and to see her winning and having that exposure. Was one of the first experiences I had with the on where the sport can grow and where the sport can go on the exposure side. And here we are, broadcasting it to everyone in the world in English, and our friends doing it also in Spanish. So yeah, it's crazy to see her still running, still battling out of it, and racing people like Moana, Keres, and Maud Matisse.
Yeah, not to forget that, Japan is a country with an enormous running heritage, and although it's mainly road running, especially marathon and these like big corporate relay races they have called Ekiden.
The Ekidens.
Which are seen, if you take the proportion of the Japanese population that watches it, it's the same proportion of Americans that watch the Super Bowl.
Wow.
So that really shows you how popular running is in Japan. So I'm not really surprised that there would be a TV crew following her, even all those years back. Yeah. Although I wasn't aware that, I have no real personal experience with how popular trail running has become in Japan at this point in time.
Yeah, I've been watching the other day the first stage of the Golden Trail series too. It looks like Japan is growing. It has been popular for a while, but they have classic races, a massive classic race as it's the Mount Fuji 100 that a fella South American just won, which is Joaquin Lopez, got to win in the other side of the world, being from Ecuador. And there were thousands of runners, over 2,500 runners just running the 100 miles there, and it's I think it's 4 distances. So yeah, having Yuri is basically a pioneer on this sort of events. So yeah, it's cool to see her still racing, not just running, but racing here, and still on the top side of it.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately she is the only Japanese representative on the course today, because when I was looking at the early start list, there was another, it was Roinosuke Omi, who won the VK in 2024, but he mustn't have made the start, so maybe a bit like the other favourite, David Sinclair, he might have decided to to save his energy for the later races. Either that, or as does happen, unfortunately, even for elites, an injury might have stopped him getting to the start line.
Yeah, let's. I will do my research on that. I would love to see David. I think he's definitely not a dark horse after last year in JFK. He's and in other several races, but I think his superstar status was won last year at the JFK 50 miler, where he broke a really old course record. And sorry, it's a really old race, and he defeated a really high course record. So I think he's one of those U.S. runners that can do really well here, as in the past have done guys like Tim Frerichs, guys like Sage Canada, guys like Timothy Olsen, and of course the man, the myth, the legend, Dakota Jones, that won in 2012, and 12 years later here in 2024 last year, that unfortunately he's not going to be racing again. But it's a race that it suits well the sort of talent the U.S. runners have, and I think David would be a great prospect to win on Saturday on a great U.S. fashion. So let's see.
Yeah, because he's had a few injury setbacks, but that record at JFK, and then he had a fantastic win as well in the Broken Arrow race, which was also on a long, grueling course. It does, yeah, it would make him one of the favorites. But in the meantime, we saw two finishes coming in together there, including one of the first people, I think the 12th person actually to start out today, which was Andrea Tetti.
Yeah, I'm just reading. Sorry, I'm just reading what he says. He's been doing some skimo. David Sinclair. So let's see. He just ran a massive skimo race 3 weeks ago in Norway. So let's see how his running legs are coming up.
Yeah, it's a funny thing because we spoke a bit about people who transition to these disciplines, from track and from road running and so forth. But there's a lot of people coming into this sport from skiing, from skimo, from mountain biking, who do very well for different reasons, But I do remember at the European Championships in Breventon, the winner of the long 46K, I think it was, race at the time, he had done very, very little running. He was basically a Belgian, I think he was a cross-country skier. I might be wrong, he could have been skimo, but he was from one of those disciplines. And he said, well, look, this sort of racing, I find it extremely similar to the skiing I do in winter in terms of the demand on muscle groups, which is very interesting. But it's also because flat running is all about bounce and elasticity, a high cadence, being able to just get off the ground quickly and using the rebound. You're not really pushing hard with your muscles. But once the gradient goes over a certain degree, you can't use your muscles like that. No one is strong enough to bounce up a hill for an hour when the gradients get 16, 20, 30, 40%. So you need to start using your muscles more the way you would see when you're sitting on a mountain bike, grinding the gears up a steep slope, or when you're skiing against the resistance of hill and snow in the winter.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's, I think skiing is the best, how do you say it? It's the best matching winter sport for trail running in general. And we've had legends of this sport, of our sport, the biggest names coming from a background of skiing before trail running, as Kilian Jornet. He's not a runner himself, he's a skier himself, turned out to be a trail runner. Of course, he did this when he was a teenager. He switched from winter skiing to trail running. But then massive names like Emily Forsberg, of course, Ida Nielsen, Jonathan Albon, Henriette Albon, his wife, David Sinclair. Now that I'm seeing, he's also coming from skimo. And there's also cross-country skiing. There's also, biathletes. Luis Alberto Hernando, the record holder for the ultra here. He's an Olympic representative for Spain on the biathlon. On the Winter Olympics. So So yeah, I think it's the best matching winter sport for trail running. As we were watching for a second Moana Queres, now we are back with Luca Del Pero, who is smoothly running up this tarmac hill, and he's looking fantastic. Rene, if you
yeah, he's looking good. As I just said, you can't have bounce up a steep hill, but you know, the stronger and fitter runners, they can maintain a good bounce on gradients where most of us just can't. You know, you're seeing that there. He still has a pretty good cadence going. He's still getting off the ground pretty quick.
Yeah.
Whereas here we see the contrast of styles. You know, you have one of the later finishers, you know, passing out. A runner who's using the walking style with the long heavy steps, you know. And this is, we're not trying to be cruel on the runner we're watching, because we all do it. We all have to resort to it at a certain point in a race when the muscles have simply had enough and they need to shift gears to still keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I just came back for the chat for a second. Some more friends are there. Franco is there watching. Hey, buddy. Duncan Redpat says, superb coverage. Thanks, Duncan. Just spread the word. Send this link to your friends. Bring people to watch this beautiful vertical uphill. And of course, stay tuned for Saturday. The action is going to be long. You're going to be hearing us for a long period of time. We're going to be starting at 5:45, if I'm not wrong, on Saturday, with the start of the mythical, the beautiful start of the ultra, and also at the same time the marathon from different points of the island. The Faro de Fuencaliente is going to be watching the ultra marathon runners start, and then the marathon is starting from Refugio del Pilar, and then a few moments later at 7:30 we're going to be watching the half marathon, also starting from the Faro de Fuencaliente, and we're going to be bringing you all the action from the island of La Palma to wherever you are in the world, for you to share with us, to share the joy of trail running, the beauty of this sport here in the island, and why not get motivated for signing up for next year on the fantastic Transvulcania, a race you gotta do once in your lifetime. It's one of those bucket list places, one of those bucket list races, and we really hope to see you here next year, and that includes you, Rene.
No, I would love to come back at some stage. So let's make it happen. And for everyone who listened to that, you know, we expect to see all of you following us from 5:15 a.m. in the morning. You know, because what else will you be doing on a Saturday morning?
Yeah, you don't have to be coming back from. Well, you may be coming back from a long Friday night, and you can just stay with us. You know, grab yourself a coffee, or maybe you are getting ready for your long run on Saturday, and you can share with us, and maybe even you know, sometimes people just go have their run with us in their ears, you know, like if we were listening to a football match or a race, you know, a car race or whatever, as in the old days. They bring us to their runs, and we share, we make them company while they're running on whatever they are in the world, and I find that really fun. I've done that myself, I gotta say, in some of these races that are really long, and I do have to go for my little run on the day. I don't want to miss the action, and I just bring my headphones and I'll listen to the race, and then just try to catch up with the action. So if that happens, we'll be making you some company. Come make us some company too on the chat. And I think, yeah, we will have some good fun on Saturday. We're watching the ladies top 10 so far with this is the temporary top 10, let's call it away. We still have
yeah, Irone had a very sizable gap to second place at the moment, 15 minutes. So I think there's roughly 45 female competitors in total that are in the race. So we have a good few more still to come up. So we'll see how that kind of shapes up before People like Matisse here, who is, it doesn't look like she's caught Moana yet, unless it happened off screen, which is possible, and we can't yet see the split. But she's just coming here to the midpoint, and she's gone past the little timing box there, so we should have an intermediate time now for Maud any minute here or any second.
Absolutely, I think that's that's the point. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see, women.
So the current estimate is for her to finish in 32 minutes. And she has been running for roughly 21 if my calculations are right. So she'd be looking at a time currently around 53, 54.
Which will put her on the top 10 overall, I would believe, if she goes for that. And she's running for it. She's going extremely fast, not changing her pace, not not slowing down at all. So really psyched to see what Mod can do on this sort of runnable race. As we see bib number 15 racing there, that is Aitami Brito, and the guy passing by here, it's Diego Diaz Ortega, Dieguito Pataliebre, who's also running. He's running smoothly. He's running pretty fast. He's one of my podium candidates for sure, my personal podium candidate. But look at Maud Matisse. Wow.
She's just motoring on at this stage.
Yeah.
And again, the constant shifts, it's very interesting to watch, because most people would stay a little bit longer in each rhythm. It's like she senses immediately it's time to shift, and since she just gears up or down.
Yeah, I think she hasn't passed Moana yet. That was Moana, and I think she didn't pass her yet. We will see. I think she
gonna try and get a time.
Should be there. Oh no, that's Yuri. Wow, yeah, she flew by Moana then, and Yuri is catching the young gun from the island of La Palma. Yuri looks better now. Looks like she's catching up the speed and racing for that podium spot.
Yeah, currently looking at Moana's time, she doesn't seem to be quite doing the sort of pace of the other two ladies. She has been racing for 26.5 minutes, and on current pace, she's estimated to finish around 62. She might yet speed up, and this is just an estimate, but at the moment, she has slowed down relative to her other two competitors there.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's here it is. Yeah, currently the estimated leading time for the ladies, it says that Maud Matisse is the potential winner of the race, with Silvia Lara in second, Yuri Yoshizumi in third, and Moana in fourth. Moana Lili Queres in fourth, and Maria Benito and Charlotte Cotton in fourth and fifth respectively. We will see what's the time.
So what we are seeing right now looks to be Yuri catching Moana.
Yeah.
And because on the pace she's doing at the moment, she's expected to finish about a minute ahead. But it's not, a race is not mathematics. It's all predictive. It's based on your current pace, and things can happen. You can go out too hard and suddenly blow up. So we won't take it for granted that this is the way it's going to play out. But at the same time, if you're moving faster on this steep part of the race, with still over half to go, it is usually a sign, that you paced it better, you're feeling stronger, and will probably finish ahead.
Yeah, and then it's also the visuals. They have Yuri has the advantage of the visuals also, that she knows Moana started 1 minute, and anything closer to her is gonna be her beating Moana. So we will see how it plays for the young La Palma runner, to see how she recovers out of it. And we are seeing Maria Benito right now, who is currently virtually sitting in fifth, And she's also crushing, huh? She's running really fast, moving really strong through this sort of technical bit of the race.
Yeah, there was nearly a frantic quality, you know, to the way she moved through that. There was a few near misses there, but you know, she does seem like she's really trying. So she was I think the 5th or 6th last woman to start today. But it is very demoralizing in a handicap race when you get passed out, because you do know not only do you have to keep up, but if you wanted to finish ahead of the person, you need to create a new gap, which is very difficult if you've already been caught.
Yeah, especially when if it's the 30 seconds gap, more or less you can at least try. But the minute gap on this sort of short races and these vertical races, it's really complicated. So we will see how it plays for Moana's for Moana's strategy and for Moana's moral, basically. But I think running in her home trails is gonna be really good for her too. She's got the home advantage.
Yeah, and one thing we can't account for entirely is that, as I say, the second part of the race is quite a lot less steep. And for those who didn't join early on, we were mentioning that those first 2.2 kilometers to the 510 meter elevation point, for every kilometer you rise 66 meters. But for the last part of the race, it's only about 34. You know, so it's a lot less.
Yeah. I see. We are now with Boris Orlak from the French guy from Team Scott, who's virtually sitting in third right now, with Luca Del Pero being the virtual leader, with Diego Diaz Ortega in second. Hey, my dark horse. Careful with my dark horse.
Yeah, and I liked his stride. He looks aggressive. You know, he's moving well. There's no sign really there that he's struggling. You know, so hopefully he can keep it up, because he was kind of on my list of people who might sneak onto the podium as well.
Yeah, amazing. Great job for Boris there. We are letting him go do his final couple of meters. He's supposed to be around 15 to 17 minutes from the finish line, where we will have some proper timing, some proper reference from the podium spots. It got cloudy right now down there. That's also something interesting about the island, that it changes a lot during the day. It changes. You may start with pure sun, and then suddenly get a couple clouds that will help you stay a bit colder on such a warm day here in the island.
And it is one mercy with running up. You know, you might have to work really hard for it, but it does get cooler the further you get up. You know, so there is that, especially because the longer you run, obviously, the higher your core temperature increases. And if it goes over a certain point, that'll slow you down more than anything nearly that you can encounter in a running race. So that is an advantage, at least with these races that go properly high, you know, because you do really feel the difference when you get up to like roughly 1,200 meters, whereas in a lower mountain race and with a very hot surface, or what do you call it, 0 meter temperature, it might not be too much of an advantage, especially if there's a lot of shelter, which these runners don't have. You can see it here in this footage. You know, you can see you're quite exposed on this ridge. There's not a lot of trees, there's not a lot of walls, the big rocks sheltering you. If there's any bit of wind, it should cool them down.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have to, I mean, it's later in the day. We don't have to forget that it's almost 7 p.m. It's gentle for the runners too. So yeah, we will see how it unfolds in the end. I think that was we just saw, we had a glimpse of I think it was Silvia Lara. Was her Silvia Lara?
I could not see the number, but we'll see if we can get a glimpse, or if we can figure it out on the tracker. Just because we were speaking of temperature, if you are following on LiveTrail, so livetrail.net, according to it, it's currently 22 degrees at the start and 17 degrees Celsius at Torre del Time at the finish. So a 5 degree drop from start to finish.
Wow. Yeah, for how they like, it feels like for how the runners were, I don't want to say complaining, but how they were talking about the heat. It seems like it doesn't feel like 22. It feels like a bit more, especially down there close to the sea where the sun kind of crushes you a bit more. So
this was actually one of the local runners. It's Estela Almeida. We have and she's looking good.
Yeah, she's
good
solid.
rhythm. She's looking fairly, not under too much pressure. I'm sure she's under more pressure than she looks. You know, that's kind of usually the case with elites. They look good, or they can keep it together, even when they're under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's an amazing talent to not make it look like you're under pressure, or even if you're competing to not show suffering, so the rest of your fellow competitors don't see you bleeding, to call it a way, and you can keep on competing and trying to go for that high as possible finish line for these kids that run really fast. And speaking about running fast, that is Luca Del Pero, our virtual leader on this vertical uphill.
Yeah, he's just navigating these little obstacles. There's a little bit of parkour element to the route here.
Absolutely, there's it's a kind of an obstacle course trail, but yeah, now it's the classic. If you've ever been to the Canary Island, you know that this is the classic trail where you're running on a clean path, and suddenly there's this amount of bushes, amount of rocks, volcanic rocks that will make your ankles suffer a bit, to call it a way.
Yeah, he looks quite uneven. Of course, he's very light-footed, which helps, and I can see as well here he seems to be running. So he's running with the bottle in his hand, or is that just me imagining that? There's a bit of grain up in the picture here, which is because of the altitude.
No, he's got something in his right hand. Seems like to be like a soft flask or something. Yeah, it is a soft flask, I believe.
We can hear heavy breathing as well, but I don't want to say it's Luca. It could be him, but sometimes on these it's actually the running cameraman or the mountain biker trying to follow these runners that is doing the breathing.
They do an amazing job trying to catch up. Luca is running really fast. You gotta be really well trained to hold to Luca's or to any of these fast runners pace. And our camera runner here is he's doing a fantastic job keeping up with him as he passes the Canarian talent there, and he's gone. The Scarpa runner is gone now. We're back with Yuri Yoshizumi in a temporary third place, waiting for her to get to the finish line, and still moving pretty fine, pretty smooth on this sort of technical terrain.
Yeah, we can see on the way she moves that there's a lot of variation in terrain and gradient there. She's passing the red marking tape that they're following the whole way up. And still a few spectators and photographers out on the hill as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think I have never seen so many photographers on this hillside. It's really cool. The scenario is fantastic, and probably some amazing footage is coming out of there. So yeah, it's cool.
I think she's coming up to, is that Mirador El Time? So the viewing point into, I think it's into the Aridane Valley.
Let me see. Yeah, 500 meters. Yeah.
They're giving her a good cheer, a good clap. We can't hear that because we don't have sound from this area here.
Oh, she's flying there.
She is, yeah, she's moving around. This is a brief flyer. I think we have a few, either this is local police or local guards there in the high vis.
And a fantastic drone footage from Yuri Yoshizumi, the Japan vertical running legend, who is virtually running in third right now, going for the podium spot at the 2025 Transvulcania Adidas TERREX on its 15th anniversary, getting a high five from the runners that are, I think they've already finished and they are coming down on the same trail while we get back to the finish line, waiting for more runners to come through.
And we seem to have just briefly lost footage there, but it's back.
That's Areski Habibi. He's running really fast. He definitely didn't.
Yeah, he's moving really well. He's trying to get something out of his pocket there. Yeah, it's gel. Just a boost of energy here for the final bit.
Is he using? He's using road shoes, right?
Could look that way. You could get away with that in an uphill race, especially because obviously, you know, road shoes used to be the way to go. When I started trail running, which is nearly 20 years ago, you know, we raced in road shoes all the time because it was hard to get light trail runners. But these days they do tend to be everything you want. So it might just be that they look that way because the uppers these days of, you know, competitive trail running shoes tend to look more and more like what you'd expect from a road shoe. I'm not sure we'll get a close enough look to say for sure, Larry.
Yeah, I think it's just 1 millimeter down and we would be seeing it, but it looks like no, it's not. They're not road shoes. I cannot tell what his shoes are, but yeah, no.
It could be the what is it? The Adidas TERREX Agrovich is one of the carbon shoes is actually in that color.
You're right. Could be. We will check.
We will. Yeah, we'll have to. Yeah. Someone might ask him, but it's probably only the nerdiest of our listeners on YouTube and elsewhere who are that interested. You know, we know that trail runners do have a soft spot. A lot of trail runners have a soft spot for gear. Let's see here what we are seeing. So this is some of the earlier starters. Is it just steadily making their way up? There is actually, we talked about how the second half of the race is easier, but despite that, the worst gradient of the race is still in the second half. There is a sustained section where the grades rise to 48%. And here we have, I can't quite see the number, but we see the runners cross these kind of irrigation pipes that if you haven't been to the Canary Islands, they kind of crisscross a lot of the trails, you know, and help obviously water various different farm areas, such as those banana plantations we saw further down. And then we're back here where it's a bit more open, and again we can see the dynamic of these vertical races. They're nearly at the finish line now, so they're probably catching their first glimpse, you know, and the relief of knowing it's nearly over. Yeah, you can see now they've seen it. They're putting in that finishing spurt. So we will see now how many finishers we have once these three cross. So we're up to 49 finishers now. So it's nearly a third of the field. And here we have with number 17 is Carlos Ruerteda, and he represents Al Borde de lo Inconcebible. So he started 17 minutes past 6. There wasn't too many in front of him, so we're going to get his time now in a minute. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks the longtime leader Ivan Yero off first spot. So let's just see what sort of time he came in with here. And we're back with Matisse, so still looking really well here in first place in the women's race. As we said earlier, she's kind of on course on a time between 52 minutes and 53 minutes.
Hey, I am back, and Maud is still crushing. It's
yes,
amazing.
She is. Still looking more or less effortless. Just one strong, steady effort here.
Yeah, and again, these switches that are, this is the nice thing of having the possibility of watching these races live. It's learning. Also, it's a learning. It's a great learning opportunity to see from firsthand, straight out from the course on a vertical race, how these runners do it, how they change, what technique they use, what sort of fueling they use, what gear they're using, and especially in the case of Maud, it's what these transitions she does constantly and absolutely looking effortlessly. That's Sebastian, the Argentinian guy she's passing through right now.
Yeah, he very courteously noticed her there and let her through because it's a fairly narrow spot here.
Yeah, but it's it's interesting to learn from this and to see how they do it, you know. And even though she doesn't have the what the books would say it's the perfect running technique, I think she's a master in doing it right on the uphills.
And it is a very interesting point, Barry, is that we might be able to start with world champions in a lot of trail races or elite runners, but we can't normally see what they actually do. We see them and they're gone, and then next time we see them, they've been in their shower and they're waiting for us at the finish line. So this is a great part of the kind of explosion of coverage that we have in trail running footage, you know, and that we actually get to see much more. And we can try and, you know, maybe people will probably begin to study the techniques, as you say there, and the strategies more and more, because we get not just more footage, we're getting much richer data as well. You know, there's lots of scientists around universities around Europe as well now writing studies, you know, on what are the pacing patterns they can see in all these different races, because we're still a very young sport and there's a lot to discover.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's races in the sport that they have over 100 years, some of them in the UK, some of them in Alaska. There's famous races that are massive until today that have over 40 years, as there's the case of Siercinal or Western States, but it is just 40 years. It's not that it's crazy studied or it's extremely popular to say, hey, this is good, this is bad, this is a good technique, this is a bad technique, or this had been broadcasted for a lot of years. This is all relatively new. We always we try not to be really heavy about it, but it's just the fourth year, I believe, in the world of trail running that we have this sort of live coverages, as we see Diego Díaz Ortega from the Club de Atletismo Albacete finishing. He was virtually second. Let's see what the ranking says. He's currently right now our temporary winner. He just took that position from Carlos Garcia, the guy who's hugging there right now, his teammate from the Club de Atletismo Albacete. Diego did a time of 15 minutes and 41 seconds, which is insane.
Very impressive.
Extremely fast time for Diego Diaz. Carlos Garcia is currently standing in second with 52 minutes and 10 seconds, and Alexander Lukin, it's third in 57 and 42, but we know Luca Del Pero is flying. But Diego's time is actually really challenging. Luca's gonna have to go under 50 or close to 50 to win this thing, and we will see if he can nail it.
Yeah, I'll try and get, while we watch the footage here from these, another, you know, traditional Canarian style trail is these kind of very pleasant brown dirt tracks. And as he comes up to the finish, I'm going to try and see if I can get an intermediate timing on Luca, just to see what his predicted finish is.
Yeah, let's see. I found a way on this live trail thing. If you go straight to the
Yeah, so I have him here. He is running 45 minutes and predicted imminently. It says, okay,
Wow.
so that would be some time if he is currently running 9.8 kilometers per hour average, which is far above most of the runners we've seen so far.
Insane. That's insanely fast for a 7.2 kilometers and 1200 meters of elevation gain. Luca Del Pero, the Italian Scarpa guy, he might be the winner. I don't think he's 2 minutes away to beat the current fast time. Is that him? That might be him, huh?
I think it could be.
Yeah, the drone came back really fast. Let's see. No, and that was La Torreta del Time as we're back with Yuri. Sorry about that. But I think that was Luca Del Pero, the potential winner of this race. As we are back with
there were
Yuri.
3 runners coming into the finish there, and he... Yes, I'm looking at his GPS tracker. It definitely looks like he is nearly there. So here we have got runner number 15, which is Aizami Brito Enriquez.
Del Club Deportivo Hilera. So we're back with
So
Yuri.
he started roughly 11 minutes before Luca Del Piero.
Wow. If cutting out 11 minutes to a guy who's definitely a fast runner would be insane.
Yeah, it looks like he might have been on a mission today.
Yeah.
And he's living up to his bib seeding. You know, he has the number 10,001, and at the moment it looks like he's going to win it.
Yeah, so we had also Boris Orlak crossing the finish line in a really close time of 50 minutes and 49 seconds. That's only 8 seconds back from Diego Diaz, who's still holding to that first place. But here comes the man. Here comes Luca Del Pero, the Italian guy from Team Scarpa. And I think he's gonna do it. He's running really fast. He has nailed.
He's going to be under 48 minutes, 47.59. I think. Oh no, he just misses it. He's about 48.03.
47.59 is the official time as I see it here on Live Trail for our definitely right now our winner, Luca Del Pero, has finished. The final runner to start and the fastest one to do it, to complete this 7.2 kilometers with 1200 meters of elevation gain from el Puerto de Tazacorte to La Torreta del Time, up there in the beautiful after this beautiful vertical uphill. We had 47 minutes and 59 seconds for Luca Del Pero, and that's really close to the old Stian Angerman time. Fantastic race for the Scarpa runner. Now we can say he's the first winner of this 2025 Transvulcania Adidas TERREX in its 15th anniversary.
With a lead of nearly 3 minutes.
Insane. Because Diego did a great time, like running under 51 minutes here. It's top. It's like a top performance, but Luca was unbeatable today.
Yeah, that would have taken something special to beat him. So we've got we have 7 runners under the hour at this point, but one more runner that'll definitely be well under that is Morten Matisse. Whereas when we last looked at the splits, Yuri probably will just about break the 1 hour mark, whereas Moana, I think 3rd or 4th place she was last time we checked in on her, looks like she might just fall outside that limit.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go with the virtual top 10 we have right now, with Luca Del Pero in 47 minutes and 59 seconds being the virtual winner of this 2025 Adidas TERREX Transvulcania vertical uphill. followed by the Spanish Diego Diaz Ortega in 50 minutes and 41 seconds. Boris Orlac from France is third in 50:49. Carlos Garcia Hurtado in fourth with 52:10. Aitami Brito Enriquez with 57:33. Alexander Lukin in 57:42. Ivan Roman Hierro in 59:34. Raico Hernandez Morales in 1:12. And then Alexander Kirsaev in 1 hour 1:20. If you want to go with the ladies, René, so far in this virtual leading, let's see if we can see.
Yeah, so they've just dropped off the screen, and I think as we could see there, the leading lady is still Irune with the 67.56. So that's going to be severely upset because there is 4 or 5 really fast women still coming up towards the finish line now. So that will totally overturn probably that current top 10.
Fantastic. Let's see if I can get back to that. No, I just can't. I think that's Ainhoa Lendines, the Basque runner we were seeing interview before. Let's see how it went to her for her. Yeah, we have Maria Benito also crossed the finish line, and she's now the leader, the virtual leader of this vertical uphill race in 1:4:24. Irune Vélez has dropped to second in 1:7:56, and Ainhoa Lendines, who we just saw right after the finish line, is virtually in third in 1:11:44.
And I think we have another female finisher coming in now, so we're just going to try and see, can we get the bib number? Here's number bib number 135.
That's bib number 14.
That is Silvia Lara Diegues. So she's not a Spanish runner from Sierra Sur de Jaén. So if I'm not mistaken, that I've actually been there. That is a town that's fairly close to Malaga.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. And now Silvia Lara is our virtual leader with 1:02:22 so far. The fastest time in the women's side we've had so far, as we stay in this amazing rich image with Moana Lili Queres. We are back with Estela Guerra from Gran Canaria, who finishes also the vertical uphill.
And she takes virtual third place at the moment in 64.55.
Amazing. I like Moana's belt. It says step strong. Would it be? So it's a cool motto.
A good motto.
Yeah. Let's see how Areski Habibi
that was
finishing.
our runner number 9. Was it Areski Habibi? Yeah, we saw him earlier running really strong. So let's see what sort of finishing time he got here in the end.
He's currently standing in 7th. Areski Habibi now with 58.25. Let's see if he bettered his 2020. Let me see. He bested his 2024 time. So Areski Habibi last year he did 57.19, and this year he did 58.25, a bit slower than last year for the Tenerife runner, who is virtually repeating the top 10. As we stay with Moana a bit longer, she's pushing. It feels like she's warmed up, right? Like she's running a bit smoother, a bit more fluent than she was earlier in the early stages of the vertical race.
Yeah, she was showing good tempo on that little downhill there, so I think they seem to have loosened her out. And now, obviously, it's going to be mainly climbing up to the finish. But yeah, you'd fancy her to hold on to her position at this stage. So it's It'd be interesting to know in general whether these kind of shallower gradients they suit her more. But you would think, being local and having run this trail many, many times, she's probably fairly adept at all of it. But she's simply up, she's up against one of the biggest legends of the sport, and that is hard to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, look at that! How dramatic that cloud looks on the cliff, on that canyon, with the pine trees there, giving a little bit of green to all the volcanic area that all the volcanic land that La Palma has to offer. It's beautiful. Going through those pine trees. Oh, Maud Matisse! Maud Matisse, our virtual winner. Completely. Yeah, not virtual winner. She's definitely the winner of today. Maud Matisse from Team Fuji Trail A6 from Switzerland. The legend herself has just done this vertical uphill of 7.2k and 1200 meters of elevation gain in a ridiculously fast time of 56 minutes and 40 seconds, which puts her, let me just see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th overall so far for Maud Matisse. An insane performance for the Swiss trail runner that it's coming back to her potential, to her bigger performances. Love to see her back here.
And she looked essentially unfazed. Just here as we go back to, this is Idoja Perez Rodriguez, if I pronounced that right. So she's not the Spanish runner. She was the 20th to start. So she started roughly 15 minutes before Maud Matisse, which says everything. Another example that this would be a very competent runner, but when you're facing living legends, they punch a huge gap into the field, and Maud even looked a bit unfazed there. I have a feeling, given when we looked at the earlier predictions, she looked to be on course maybe closer to 54 minutes. So I wonder, once she had passed and she could see she had a gap on the competitors, she might have been able to ease off a bit and save her legs, because it's very important when you're elite, to, whenever you can save your legs, to do it, unless you're out to break a record, because you'll have another big performance that you'll need to extract from your body maybe a few days later, maybe a week later, and regularly over the course of the season.
Absolutely. Let's see. I'm not sure if Maud is racing the half marathon. Is it? Yeah, she's racing the half marathon also on Saturday, so I believe she's being I think once she knew she had it, she did save the bid. As we have the top 10 women's top 10 here at the vertical uphill, with Maud Matisse from Switzerland winning in 56 minutes and 40 seconds. Then we have Silvia Lara in 1:02, Maria Benito in 1:04:24, Estela Guerra in 1:04:55. So far, Irune Vélez in 1:07. In 5th place, Ainhoa Lendines in 6th, Marina Cuesta in 7th, Jennifer Camacho Toledo in 8th, Diana Freire Ferrero in 9th. And from Germany, and the opener of this vertical uphill race is Lina Christine Schink from Germany, rounding out the women's top 10 so far. Do you want to go with the men's, René?
Yes, so as we saw earlier there, Luca Del Perro with a fantastic time of 47:59, which broke Diego Diaz Ortega's time, which was equally impressive, of 50:41. We have Boris Orlak, who was our dark horse for a podium, and he delivered with 50:49, only 8 seconds back. Then we have Carlos Hurtado with a 52:10, and then there's a bit of a gap to 5th placed Aitami Enriquez with 57:33. We have Alexander Lukin with 57:42. Areska Habibi with 58:25, Ivan Yero 59:34, Raiko Morales with 61:12, and Alexandra Kirsheyev in 61:20.
It's amazing. The gap that Luca opened to Diego, it's crazy. Because Diego did a fantastic run. I will say that lot of times because it's oh yeah, he was second 3 minutes back. But I think it doesn't make much justice on the performance Diego did, because I think Luca did an outstanding performance today, one of those that it's hard to replicate. Just to say, Diego would have fought with Ryonosuke Omi last year for the win, and they did almost the same time, and Ryonosuke then went to win the Zegama vertical too. So it's crazy how fast these guys ran. As we see Yuri Yojisumi finishing, extremely happy.
Looking very delighted with herself.
Yeah, having a great time. That's amazing. And I love to see when they can run so fast and still finish in this fantastic fashion. Let's see her time. Definitely standing in third place right now. Yuri Yojisumi in 1 hour, 2 minutes and 46 seconds, 62 minutes and 46 for Yuri. Holding up for third, right behind Silvia Lara and the outstanding Maud Matisse.
Yeah, so it'll be really, really interesting to see now if she can hold on to that.
Moana was running really fast. Let's see if she can catch some time there. As we saw, I know Alendin is coming down also back down to el Puerto de Tazacorte.
Yeah, of course, the only problem that Moana has is she did start a minute ahead of Yuri. And
You're right.
Yet. So
You're right. There she is.
there she is. Okay, so we would probably expect her to have a time around 64 minutes.
Yeah, 65:01, 1 hour 5:01 for Moana. Standing.
Sixth place.
Yeah, sixth place for her, for the young gun from the UltraTrail project, the local runner. She did an outstanding race. Anyway, it's being in a top 10 with such a level of runners. It's amazing, and she's really young, so there's a lot for her on the books to be written yet. So great job.
Whereas for
Moana.
For our male winner, Luca Del Pero, there is a lot already written, and he was world VK champion in 2022. He has a lot of wins on his home scene in Italy on that discipline, and generally he likes to focus on the shorter technical races, and he's probably one of the more efficient on the really steep gradients. That's something he's shown again and again. So it's really not a surprise that he won. Maybe only a surprise that his time was as good as it was.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I really like this footage, this drone footage with the dramatic clouds going through. There is a raffle from Iberia. We forgot to mention that. I believe people who have been watching would have scanned the QR and tried to sign up for the raffle. Hopefully you did it. You didn't need us to scan the QR, right? You just scanned it and got your name into the raffle. Maybe to win a little trip somewhere around with Iberia, and hopefully we'll see you all that are watching right now. We'll see you here in La Palma next year.
And we hope to see, of course, a lot of them again on Saturday morning when it's the main event. All of the main events will kick off staggered. As the broadcast is starting shortly after 5 a.m. in the morning. And actually we have another finisher here. So let's just give them a shout out, because this is finisher Sebastian Abramovic from Argentina.
Yeah. My co-Terranian. His girlfriend waiting there. Amazing. Great job for Sebastian. Yeah, he was stoked. He's going to have nice footage there. I believe he was filming with the 360 camera. That's interesting too. I always like to see after the inner experience from the people running with their cameras and see how it looks for them. So let's see.
And I'm just trying to see here how many we have left out on the course. You know, that's another thing that you can also keep, you know, track on livetrail.net. So we had 135 starters from I think there was an original list of about 176. And in case you're not, you know, familiar with starter race, that's fairly normal for a trail race. You know, it's not that there's anything gone terribly wrong when there's 20 or 30 people not showing up. It is unfortunately it's the norm that 10 to 20, even 25% of the people who sign up for a race, they just don't even get to the start line. You know, so the first finish line is the start line, as we say.
Yeah, it's hard to, and especially when the races are logistically, they need preparation. They need a lot of dots to be connected with trips, with you know, planes or even ships here in between the islands. There's a lot of things to be connected to get to this start line properly, and yeah, that happens a lot. And then there's also something that the timing relays a lot on technology, of course, and sometimes chip timing can be a little tricky. So sometimes people don't show up. We had an experience just a month ago in a race in Argentina where it was super rainy and people were extremely dressed up, they geared up with a lot of layers, and sometimes the VIV numbers with the chip timer were kind of hidden or like really invisible. So they were, let's say, not precise, and also it can happen. Also, people tend to get desperate when they don't see their familiars, their relatives on the timing, and then suddenly it starts working again and you see them. So yeah, it's just technology. As we see the cloud once again there on the ridge, there's another final review of the men's top 10 with Luca Del Pero, our winner. It's a nice international podium, of course, with Luca being Italian, Diego being Spanish, and Boris being French. That's also nice of a race like Transvulcania, with all the international.
Yeah, that's what you want to see in a big trail race. You know, of course there's a charm to having small local races where locals do well, but once you have a big profile and you want a race to be, you know, really competitive, then you need that international flair, because if you can bring the best runners from several countries to one location, you know, you're going to get a better competition, and that's how people get better as well. You know, the more good runners race in the same race, the more they push each other on, and the more the standards increase. And that is one of the only problems I've seen over the years with the proliferation of races, right? Is that especially in small countries, you can have so many races that the best runners simply don't get to race each other enough.
Yeah, and it having this sort of competition, it sets the bar higher. You know, like it's Diego and Boris, I'm sure they've raced Luca somewhere, but it's always, you know, a random Thursday evening racing one of the best runners in the world in a completely different stadium, which is the island of La Palma. It's amazing. And also imagine for Silvia Lara racing Yuri from Japan and Maud from Switzerland. Maud, one of the legends of our sport. It just makes everyone improve, and it makes the whole sport grow higher. So
yeah, you see the women's top 10 here, equally international. So with a Swiss winner, a Spanish second place, and a Japanese runner in third. And then we have Charlotte Cotton that we talked about earlier. She ended up finishing 7th in the end, with all the other spots 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, and 10th going to local Spanish runners.
Fantastic. It's interesting because I don't know how many of them are from the Canary Island outside of La Guerra and Moana, but it kind of feels international for them too. Like there's a long flight from the peninsula to the Canaries, but yeah, it's still all Spanish terrain. They're all still sharing the same feeling, the same Spanish flag. So it's I don't know, it's just fun to watch all these people racing here in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on this beautiful island that has all these amazing courses and amazing terrain. And that's back to me, René. That's back to me.
Yes,
we're gonna be these are the last 4 minutes of our broadcast of today. I think we're wrapping up on a fantastic evening we had on the first day of the 2025 Transvulcania Adidas TERREX, the 15th anniversary of this amazing race that has shaped and changed the world of trail running. How did you see it so far, René?
I think it was a great little aperitif, for the big events that we have coming up. We saw some superstars and we saw some super performances. So we'd like to see a lot more of that. And it's great that, if you followed us today, you saw Maud Matisse in action. She's one that you can see more of. And we spoke about people like David, who should have run today, but decided to give the next races also. This is the descent, as you mentioned, Mauri. So this is going to be the final part of the longer races. So you'll see it again, but you're going to see a lot more as well. And as we finish in time off here, just give a thought or spare a thought for the 24 runners that are still out there, still coming up the hill to finish off this event.